And I do believe we are live, guys. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many of you in, and it means the absolute world to see you in for this very, very special show we've got planned for you today. This is the Indie Games podcast, but it is a very special show, as I just said. We have got an extremely special guest on the show today. Someone basically who's part of one of the best teams in gaming, without a doubt, one of the best development teams in gaming. He works on the marketing side of things for them. Many of you guys probably know this fellow in the chat already because you have all got those Hollow Knight avatars already. But it is an absolute honor and pleasure to welcome onto the show today Leth, who is aka Matthew Griffin, who is from Team Cherry and Mongoose Rodeo. How is it going, my friend?
Hey. Going great. Thanks for having me. And yeah, okay, we got a lot more people in here than
yeah,
I was expecting.
Yeah, we have. I'm glad you're shocked too.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely mind-blowing. Yeah, this is craziness. This the Leth allure, I think.
That's right.
Honestly,
it's
my
all
friend.
Me.
It is all you, my friend. All you. All you and you know, Crowsworn and Hollow Knight and Silksong have a lot to do with that as well. But that is part of you, my friend. So yeah, thank you so much for being here today. It's
Thanks for having me.
You know, an absolute honor to have you on. Honestly, it's like I've gone from chilling and having a great time doing the podcast and sharing the love for indie games as I do, which I love doing, to the pinnacle of indie games with like someone who works for Team Cherry. It's like, what is going on? I don't know what's happening. I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. And you've made this happen. So thank you so much for doing that, buddy. You're awesome.
You're welcome. I'm really happy to be here, be a part of this, and maybe the first of many, hopefully many indie folks coming in here and paying a visit to your channel. It'd be awesome to see.
Awesome. That is very kind, my friend. Thank you so much. We have got so much to dive into with Leth today. This is going to be dedicated to Leth, essentially, and what he does. We're going to be talking about Leth and his kind of his career and what he's done. He's done some amazing stuff, as many of you guys will know already, but we're going to dive deep into that. But we're also going to be getting into, you know, maybe a little bit of Hollow Knight goodness. I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear. But also some Crowsworn as well, which is the recently announced game, which is looking absolutely awesome as well. So definitely looking forward to that. But just before we do get into all that goodness, guys, I just want to say welcome to my other two co-hosts for today's show, who are very good friends of mine and very trusty side co-hosts, as I say. So I'd just like to welcome firstly Puxley. It is always a pleasure hanging with you, my friend, to chat indie games. How are you doing, brother?
Yes, hello Indy. Thank you very much for having me on. I know this is a very last minute change, which we kind of happened all out of the blue, but no, very excited to be here. I say my main role here, I suppose, to chat is I'm going to be looking at you, chat, and if you have any questions, by all means, post them in. I'll try to store them. One thing I would like you to refrain from posting too much is about anything regarding release dates, because nothing like that is going to be revealed today. Apart from that, any questions as the show goes on, please post them. I shall try to store them, because there are so many of you here, more so than I think any of us expected. So that is going to be me today. I'm very much looking forward to the show.
You're awesome, buddy. Well, thank you very much for doing that role. You are awesome, and obviously we're going to be part of it together as a conversational thing too, because there's much to be explored on this show today. But yeah, thank you for being the lead on that. You are always great at that sort of stuff. And moving on from there, we have my other co-host today, who is always bringing the awesome takes to podcasts, always got the industry knowledge too, and that is always great to hear. It's my good friend VJ. How are you doing, VJ, bro?
Hey Andy, how you doing? I just wanted to say thank you so much for having me on the show, and I know Luke can't be here, but I'm sure he's listening in while he's sitting at his desk at work. And
yes,
Puxley is an amazing last-minute substitution, and we always love those. And Leth, it's a really great pleasure to be on the show for you, and it's pretty surreal, really, because I'm only a few hundred miles south of you, and I feel like just sticking my hand out the window and waving.
Wait, what? Wait, what? You're in California?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Oh. Oh man, I could have flown down there for the show.
Nice, yeah. He doesn't sound like he's from that area, does he?
No, I didn't.
It's a little trick. Yeah, yeah. But awesome stuff.
Let's catch him off guard, Indy. Let's catch him.
Let's catch him off guard. Yeah.
Oh, boy,
that's the beauty. Yeah, we're gonna ease him in slow, and then it's gonna be going in for the kill, Jeremy Paxman style. You know, all that good stuff. But yeah, no, great to have you back on as well, VJ. It's always a pleasure, and Puxley too, and Leth. Yeah, once again, absolute honor, my friend. Thank you so much. It's going to be so much fun exploring all these topics of, you know, essentially about yourself. But like I say, we are going to kind of warm up relatively slowly, maybe, or get into the swing of things, and maybe just get a feel for, you know, how you got into the gaming industry in general, really, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I've been in indie games for nearly a decade now, and I would say it started with releasing Wanderlust Rebirth on Steam back in June 2012, and we released that game under the Chucklefish banner. This was before Greenlight came out, or became a thing.
Right.
And so the game did very well, at least as far as we knew. Certainly for most indies who couldn't get their game on Steam, it was, you know, it was like a dream. And back then I was a teacher.
Wow.
Teaching some math as a substitute math teacher, and also teaching math at an after-school program.
Nice.
And also working at, when I wasn't substituting, I was working as a sort of a floating teacher that went from classroom to classroom with kids to help them kind of, you know, help them just improve on things, kind of give them more focused, you know, some more focused attention that they weren't getting in a classroom of 30 kids or whatever. I pull, you know, a few of them out and just work with them. So, yeah, and then I quit those jobs.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to do this gaming stuff.
Hell yeah, much more fun.
I was coding. Like,
sure.
I was a coder back then. I still have some coding chops.
Nice.
But I always wanted to get more into the production publishing side, even before then, and wanted to use coding as a foot in the door, as we say over here. I don't know if that's a
absolutely, yeah,
over there.
Yes, sure is.
And yeah, so now I'm where I want to be. I still get the coding itch from
I was going to say,
but and I've got something in the works, but it's definitely taking a back seat because I'm quite busy with both Silksong and Crowsworn at this point.
Absolutely. So they're your main focus at this time, obviously. Yes, they are on the screen. We know all about that. The recent, you know, teaming up with Mongoose Rodeo is super exciting for you, I imagine, as well. I was watching.
Great.
Yeah, I can imagine. I was watching you on that Deep Doc on the interview with that, and you mentioned there was something. You mentioned there was something brewing. There's something coming up. Was that what you were alluding to in that? Sorry, I didn't really. Just, I wondered whether it was.
Awesome. Yeah. That was. I didn't have anything official.
Yes.
To announce at that point, but I was already talking with Alex at Mongoose Rodeo.
Right.
About they're both named Alex, so I can just say
that's easy then.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I was chatting with them already. We just didn't have anything signed officially, so I was kind of like, "What did you guys think of that game, Crowsworn?" You know, kind of like talking about it, knowing that a couple days later I was going to be announcing joining the team. I couldn't resist to try and bring it up.
Absolutely,
but, yeah, that was a fun interview.
Definitely. I mean, we were going to definitely dive into deep into the Crowsworn action a little bit later, but yeah, just kind of getting a little bit more of a feel for your kind of personal background and stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
If yeah, could you maybe give us a feel for what your role? I think it's the same role you're gonna be carrying out at Mongoose Rodeo as it is at Team Cherry. Is that right? This is the same central role kind of thing, marketing and PR and publishing. Is that right?
Yeah, before I started doing publishing, just to expand on what I was saying earlier with at least my history in the industry is
absolutely.
I while I was coding on the Wanderlust Adventures. I joined the Risk of Rain team temporarily to code the online co-op mode for their game. So if you played Risk of Rain online with friends, not number 2, but the first one.
Right. Yep.
You were that was that was
your
my
fine
legacy.
work. Nice.
Yeah, and I also optimized the game and did some bug fixing post launch for them.
Fantastic.
And then, launched Wanderlust Adventures in 2015, and then started doing publishing work for Chucklefish. I was their publishing manager.
That is
managed
awesome.
the launches of Interstellaria and Stardew Valley, another big indie.
That is awesome.
game.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I mean, you're like you have pretty much got the ultimate CV, really, haven't you?
Yeah,
You can't get it. I love it. It's so sweet. You can't get better
Looking
than
to
that.
expand on that now.
Especially, I mean, especially in my eyes and people who enjoy the indie world, you don't get much better or the more pinnacle than those games. Really, Hollow Knight and Stardew and all that. They've done pretty well. So, yeah. And is that something you consciously? Do you consciously keep yourself within the indie realm, or is it just the way it's gone that you've always worked for these smaller teams essentially?
Well, I feel like indie development is the goal for any developer. I think some people make the mistake of assuming that you start making indie games in order to get into a AAA studio, and maybe some people have that in mind. Maybe that's their goal. But most AAA studio workers who have talent or many skills, and maybe they feel like they've been limited or pigeonholed, they're looking to branch off and do their own thing and be indie. So indie really is the end goal for most creative people. To be on their own, making something they want to make.
Absolutely.
So I didn't really look at it like I want to make these small games.
Yeah.
It was just
you wanted the
this
freedom.
is just
Yeah.
what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like creative freedom and to work with teams that are making something they're passionate and they love, and it's their product and design.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's their baby.
It's the ultimate form of personal expression.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yes.
mean, it's where you can make a difference as well. I feel like in indie, if you're just a very small part of the a massive, you're a brick in a house essentially, but for a lack of a better analogy, in AAA, but within the indie world, you can actually make a difference to the project as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
You can really. I imagine you wear many hats, I would say. Would that be a correct assumption? Yes.
Yeah, obviously, to make a game to the size of a Stardew Valley and a Hollow Knight and Crowsworn, the people involved, if there's only less than 10 people, one coder, two artists, or what have you, or in the case of Hollow Knight, it was one artist. There was a technical coder, and then William was doing scripting and coding, and then you had Christopher Larkin doing music and sound effects. It's like you end up kind of overlapping in a lot of different disciplines. So I'm keenly aware of this, and that's why I was like, I reach out to these smaller teams who maybe it's their first game. Usually it's their first game, and that's I reach out to them and say, hey, you're probably going to have publishers coming at you. And this is pretty much how the Crowsworn conversation started. Yeah. And before you sign anything, let me just talk to you about maybe I can do what you're looking for.
Yes.
Instead of you having to sign your life away to
exactly.
some publisher.
I loved your role so much. I really do. Because I think Supergiant Games have a similar kind of person within their team doing that. You probably know that. I think, so they remain independent, even though, obviously they've done many games now and very successfully, and I think they've got one guy who deals with that publishing side of things, all that good stuff. And I think that's essentially maybe the kind of similarish kind of role that you're doing, and I just love that because maintaining that independence means so much, and that creative freedom, once again, it always keeps coming up, but it's so true. But yeah, I love your role. It's great.
Yes. there are some companies who ultimately want to springboard into something bigger, which is fine. You can do that. But for the ones who want to be independent, I think the prospect of bringing on a guy to handle, like, just one person to handle all things publishing related so you can stay focused on development is very attractive. I mean, that's what a publisher should bring to you beyond financing and beyond a brand name. is someone just to handle the stuff that you're too busy to handle. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They're
making the Crowsworn guys and Team Cherry, they're focused on development now, and they're totally happy.
Yes.
And I'm here to make things easier for them.
That's fantastic. That is super awesome. I love that. So maybe before we kind of go into, we can always come back and forth of different things, I guess, when things come up. But one thing I have noticed about you just in general before we get into maybe any of the Crowsworn or like Hollow Knight and stuff like that, is that you are a massive supporter of indie games. It kind of goes with the territory, obviously, working with them. But, I think you are a supporter of indie games in the sense that, you're behind them and you like to see them do well. From what I have to hold my hands up and say, I have been watching a fair few interviews with you and I am a bit of a fan of what you've been doing with, these teams. And I do love the fact that you're spreading the love for indies, because you may well have noticed this channel is all about that. It's the indie game at the end of the day. But yeah, maybe just let's have a little chat about indie games in general on a light-hearted way. I mean, how do you think indie games are doing at the moment in general?
I think indie games, as let's say an industry, I think it's in a pretty good spot. Like, I think I would say the golden years were when Greenlight was around.
Yes.
I really liked Greenlight because it was almost like a free Kickstarter page for your game where people could come and check it out, and you could actually build a fan base, and if you built that fan base well enough, then you'd get voted in onto the platform, onto Steam.
Absolutely.
And
it's a great system.
Something that indie devs, it's very easy to, because they want to focus on making the game, they don't realize that there's another focus you should be doing, which is building a fan base for your future product. And so, but with that said, and then of course there was a flood of games coming in on Steam, and there still are. So like, because of that, I have a job.
Yes, exactly.
Because back in the Greenlight days, you didn't need a publisher anymore, or anyone to do that. Really, it kind of took care of itself to a large degree, unless you needed money. But now, since there's a flood of games coming on, now you'd need an edge in terms of marketing, because you can't just put a game on Steam anymore and it make you a bunch of money, like back in 2013. And so that's the reason, why I'm able to offer some services. And certainly if a game starts blowing up, you really need someone dedicated to handling all that stuff. So absolutely,
yeah. And so obviously, because you are the marketing, PR, and publishing guy, how do you make how do you make an indie game successful? That's a question for you.
Well, yeah. So I don't have the secret sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I've been pretty vocal with what I believe indies should focus on in past interviews, and I also did you might not have seen this one if you're looking up interviews with me. I hosted the very first TwitchCon panel, and it was titled so long ago. I think it was like Indie Devs Love Twitch,
right?
Or Heart Less Than 3 Twitch. And I was basically kind of pleading to the indie community at large to embrace the potential for word of mouth advertising through getting in deep and being a part of the live streaming and YouTube Let's Play communities. Like back in early 2014, I was like, this is where it's at. Not only can you can have someone stream a game and watch if they struggle with things, kind of get some feedback that way, so you don't have to pay to go to a convention.
Yes.
And what, you don't have, those are expenses and time consuming events. And if you can't do that, as most indies cannot, you could maybe ask a streamer who's focused on indies like yourself.
Yes,
and say, hey, I got this game, I'd like you to try it. You're into indie games, and then you watch them play, you see where they struggle, you go, oh, I gotta fix this or that. So it helps. But you also have people, it's really just like going to a convention.
Absolutely.
It really is.
And it's more
So
like a
then-
granular level, isn't it? Do you sort of like build it up that way, right? You know, I suppose you can go to a massive streamer and ask them, but like that's kind of is that what you would make you're better off with? Would you rather take the people who are the right fit for the brand or anything? Do you think about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think you'd start smaller.
Yeah.
But in terms of which streamers you should target, I think maybe some of the AAA studios and whatnot, they're kind of behind on this, and they're trying to,
Sure.
they're forming new positions like influencer relations manager and stuff like that. And those people probably are kind of doing a shotgun approach and reaching out to any huge broadcaster, and I don't do that. I target people who I think will be interested in the game.
Yes,
And
yeah, that's important. Yeah.
The size of the stream doesn't matter as much as if they play games like that and they would love it, because you absolutely want them to have a blast playing your game in front of 200 people instead of them being a League of Legends streamer and playing some little indie game between matches, and the whole chat does not care. They're tuned out until they get back to League of Legends, because that's what they're there for.
That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at what our man in the chat, Raylia, has done for Hollow Knight. Shout out to our good man, Raylia. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. And thank you so much for sharing this stream earlier in your Discord. That means the world, buddy. I love what you do on your channel. I've been watching you for a while. I admit to watching a few of your tutorials, I have to say, I have to hold my hands up. But you do some superb tutorials, buddy, and all your streaming work and everything. But it's awesome to see you in. And thank you so much, everyone else who is in the chat as well. There's so many of you. It's overwhelming to say all of you guys, but I just want to say thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. Sorry to cut you off there, Leth.
Can we hit 1,000? Can we hit 1,000?
Yeah, let's go, guys.
900. Come on, spread the word. Tell people what's going on.
Absolutely, guys. Yeah, if we can do that, would be absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, all of you. You're amazing. It really does mean a lot to see you in here. It's such a positive feel I'm getting from you all, and you're awesome. The only thing is we might not see is that release date, but otherwise we may be getting some of your questions in there, guys. Don't you worry. We will get some of that question goodness. But yeah, back to you, Leth. Sorry if I cut you off there. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to say, and we started talking about it before we went live, and I was like, well, hold on, let's save that for the broadcast.
Absolutely.
Is one of the reasons why I reached out to you is because you're still building your channel.
Yeah.
And I can see, I've watched a couple of the videos in the past. Usually they're videos lamenting the lack of Silksong news in an indie indie world from Nintendo.
Yeah, that's right. That was one of them. Yeah.
But then of course I watched the one with Crowsworn. What was that? 2 weeks ago?
That was the recent one. Yeah.
It was like hours before I announced I was joining the team. So
really?
I didn't see you guys comment on that. But part of the reason why I reach out to you is because there's kind of like an underdog thing with indies too. It makes you want to support them. You want to get in early and be a part of seeing something become a success.
Yes.
And I totally love being a part of smaller communities than super large. Like jumping into something that's already massive is not as fun as supporting something in its infancy and seeing it grow. And
absolutely.
Of course, if this podcast takes off in a couple of years and you've got 1,000 people regularly, I might not show up as much, but I'll still be proud that I was there at ground zero, so to speak, and help it get there.
That means a lot, buddy. Thank you for coming through you. That means the world, actually. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, it's overwhelming. I'm riding a cloud right now, but I'm just going to keep on going for the minute with you. It's fantastic to have you. But yeah, guys, Puxley and VJ, if there's any questions you wanted to just cut in with, do feel free.
I've got a lot of questions stored if you'd like me to start reading some of the chat questions.
Yeah.
I don't know how far you want me to go with this, but there's maybe quite a few I've got stored here.
How do you feel about lots of questions left? Would you rather they were filtered, or would you rather just they were poured towards you?
Well, I would prefer to talk about Crowsworn first before
Sure.
we dive into Hollow Knight. I mean, I'm happy to talk about Hollow Knight.
Yeah, if there's
I love Hollow Knight, and Hollow Knight made me fall in love with Metroidvania style games.
Absolutely.
I struggled with them before Hollow Knight. Like not struggled in terms of how difficult they were, just to finish them and want to finish them. It was a struggle for me.
Yes,
And
yeah.
So
actually, I have been. Feels like I've been stalking you because I saw that on an interview last night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you said that in Tokyo Games Show. I think you said about that it made you fall in love with Metroidvanias when you joined.
Mm-hmm.
That was 2017. That interview, I think, as an oldie. But
yeah, that was shortly after. That was in like November after launch or something like.
Yeah, I just say I love going back sometimes and seeing, because obviously it's a different time, and you're on the run up to release, and I also recently I've been looking back at some of the old Hollow Knight footage, and it's just like seeing how the polishing has made, how much difference that actually makes on the game is incredible. It still looks wonderful, obviously, at the Kickstarter stage, and then it moves forward, but the polishing can really, really bring it up, and it's quite funny when you go back to see it as it evolves from that stage. It's interesting going back sometimes. But yeah, maybe do you want to pick out maybe one question or one or two questions, Puxley, that are related not to Hollow Knight, or maybe that's something that if there is anything that is that you managed to
yeah, maybe they all are.
Was there any in that pile, Puxley, buddy, or was there not?
Yeah, give me a second. I'm just trying to find it again. I've got quite a big list here. Sorry.
No problem. Sorry, my man. You've done too good of a job.
I've got a few small ones actually. This one might be quite a general one. So this one's from Jeffrey Morlin, who asks, "How do you deal with overhyped fan bases?"
Good question.
Oh yeah, that's a good general question, but it's something our Silksong fans might want to know. Like that is so. Yeah, you're as a PR, like public relations, I think it's more about managing what your messaging is and what you say to people in the public, really. Like it's not like establishing a relationship with the public. It's like it's more like how do you want to speak to the public and what do you want to say, kind of a question. And so we've got this massive hype, as I think we were talking before, and you said we have a fever pitch.
Yes,
going here.
It did, yeah.
And which is every developer's dream. You certainly want to be there first and deal with that as a problem, rather than the problem of nobody knowing about your game. So it definitely is a different focus. I would say our approach to PR in general has been to just put something out when, like, we haven't created I'm speaking for Team Cherry now, or not speaking for Team Cherry, but like elaborating on what our strategy has been.
Yes, yeah.
It's been we didn't like create like a Saturday blog, like you can expect to hear from us every Saturday thing. We never made a regular update sort of scheme that now people are going, how come they're not updating anymore?
Yeah.
Like, we've just put messages out there when we could, when we felt like we had something we wanted to share, and otherwise we just grind on the game. And so, but it has been a while, I'll give you guys that. Like,
yeah, exactly. Would you say that's is contributing to the hype almost, like the fact that you're sort of not so active with it? I'm not judging you in any way, I'm just asking.
Well, yeah, it has become there's some, like, part of it is, do we have something we want to share? And now that the fan base is at a fever pitch, you almost don't want to share something minor at this point. So now we feel like, oh God, if we come out and say something, it's gotta be right, like there's a little bit more pressure on that front.
Definite.
So it's like a delicate dance, and I try to be active in the community and just let them know, hey, we're trucking away, we're still doing stuff. But But as far as official messaging, we're just thankful that we did not establish any patterns in that sense, so we don't feel like we've deviated from that, and that's the reason why people are upset. They just want to know more and they're excited. It's not an anger. In most cases anyway.
It's an excitement, isn't it? Like yeah, definitely. I think people almost get hyped themselves up, and then it's kind of like, we saw something. The last gameplay reveal kind of was the 2019 Treehouse, wasn't it? I think, or that was after the obviously the trailer, wasn't it? So, and then we had the riddles, didn't we? Was that kind of like keeping people happy? Yeah. That was your thing?
That
I
was
imagine.
My deal.
Yep.
Yes. Like that was. Oh man. Okay, so did you see the riddles, or you heard about it after the fact?
I saw the riddles. I didn't attempt them though.
Okay. But that was because the riddles was because it's actually kind of a long story. I hope it's not boring. Like late 2019, Steam or Valve was redoing their Steam library. And you've probably heard me tell this story before, but it might be new to some of the people here.
Exactly. Yeah.
They were updating the Steam library and how it looks, as some of you might remember. Steam library doesn't look the same as it used to.
Yes.
And they made some kind of change that made it to where all people who had coming soon in their games suddenly showed the date that we had listed in the back end as a placeholder.
Yeah.
for most games, I imagine. So we had this placeholder for June 12th.
Yes.
2020.
Hype City. All of a sudden, everyone's just
yeah. So I think it was like November. I wake up and my phone is just erupting because I turn it off like when I'm asleep. I figure I don't want to get woken up.
Yeah.
But I first thing I do is check to see if I have any overnight messages, because Team Cherry, they work into the wee hours of the night for me, since for the different time zones. And I've got all these messages. Is this real? And I'm like, wait, what? What is this? What real? And I look at the Steam page and it's, oh my God, what is happening? So I think I'm pretty sure I told everybody this is just placeholder.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna fix it. And so then I fixed it, an hour later or something like that. Put TBA back up there. I think it should have been TBD, but I changed it on accident. But so people still remembered that date until June 12th was nearing, and I think it was in mid-May. A Nintendo website happened to put that Silksong was coming out on May 29th or something like that. No idea why. We don't control Nintendo's.
Nintendo have put you in a little bit of crap, haven't they, with their coming soon on the Treehouse?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I understand the frustration of the fans. I'm sorry about that, but for me, I'm kind of like, yeah, dude, people are talking about the game. Like,
exactly.
That's good for us.
Absolutely.
But so basically, May 29th rolls around and nothing happens. And people start, oh my God, what was that thing? What was that Nintendo? And I felt bad. So I just crafted a riddle just to give out. What did I do? It was to give out, I forget what the prize was. I don't remember. Maybe it was like a Hornet plush or something.
Right.
And just posted a random riddle in the Discord, and everyone was like, hey, Leth, are you okay? It was very bizarre text. And they spent like 4 hours as a community working out what I did. It was swag. Okay, really says it was swag. Yeah.
He's all over it.
And then they were kind of like, what was that? What's that all about? It's like, I just felt bad that there was so much hype, and this was just, I just wanted to do something for you guys. Really, that's all it was. And and then June 12th, though, that was the big one, and it happened again, even though I had said it was just a placeholder. So I did another riddle.
Yes.
That when you solved it, it explained where that date came from, which was just me adding 2 years to the Switch release.
Right, nice.
That's all it was. I just took the Switch release date, added 2 years, and I was like, okay, here's a placeholder.
Right.
And everyone was like, "Oh, okay, that's like the riddle, Leth, that's cool."
Yeah.
And then William and Ari like saw it. I didn't tell them about it. They were like, "Hey, Matt, what's up with these riddles?"
Yeah. I love it.
And I'm like, "I don't know. I was just, I explained the same story I just told you. I tell them, and they're like, you know what? Maybe could you do like 4 more of these? Because we'd like to release some stuff, since...
Brilliant. And now they're putting a new character in the game called the Riddler.
No.
They're working it in.
Yeah. I could voice him.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point. Just a side note. You do a bit of voicing, don't you, for the characters, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes. Well, I did. I did. I don't know
Yeah.
if I did the Nailsmith, Lem, and Markoth. Everyone's favorite.
So cool.
Everyone's favorite boss, Markoth.
That is, isn't that the case with a fair few of doesn't William do some as well? Is that correct?
William's most of the voices.
Yeah, I thought he was.
Sure. I think, yeah.
I saw that on the wiki. Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot. He does a lot. So he's our generic man voice.
It's amazing though, because those voices have got so much character. It's just really endearing. I find anyway.
Someone said they hate Markoth. Oh man. But you like his voice though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Throw me a bone here.
Love it. Can I just fire a quick question? Oh, sorry. Oh,
Sure.
I was going to say, Rayleigh's just shouted a question now because you're on the flow of this anyway. And it was 2020 ever a release date goal for Silksong? And why was it not further in the future? So he's basically saying it was 2020 an actual release date goal for the game.
Oh, I think we were hoping to. Let's see, 2020. When I put that date in there, because I did the date, I did the Steam page before we launched it. Yeah, I think we were hoping to have like another E3 Nintendo launch because it did so well for us on Switch. It was just but it wasn't a long conversation. It was just kind of like, oh, that would be great. It wasn't. So I don't know really how to respond to that. Like,
it's tricky, isn't it? It's a hard one.
Well, it wasn't like. Yeah, it wasn't like this was our target launch date. You can't really do that.
Yeah,
you just can't.
It's tricky.
Predict years in advance when you'll be done with a game.
My guess would be that it was what you're getting at is there was no release date. Essentially, would that be what you're saying? There's no release date until there's a release date, and when they're done, basically.
Yeah.
And that's that's how I feel indie developers should work, and a lot of them do. I feel.
Well, that's how every developer wants to work, and it's just not the reality, unfortunately, for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
we saw a game. I don't want to say its name. I'm sure you're gonna know what I'm talking about. Come out last year.
I do know it's
unreleased. It wasn't an indie game.
Yeah, it begins with C, probably. I imagine.
I don't know, but I'm sure there were a lot of people on that team that were just like, we told you it wasn't ready. Kind of like someone decided. Or maybe it was the investors or whomever. I don't know the whole story, but someone decided that we got to release here. My personal philosophy is not to even say a release date till you can release the game. Like, the game should be done when you have a release date out there. Like, and you're just maybe finishing up some localizing, doing some optimization, maybe fixing some bugs. But they're bugs that are minor. You could totally launch with them, kind of a thing. Like, that's at the point, in my opinion. The ideal world, that's when you announce your release date. But that's not the world for everybody, I guess.
Well, that's why I feel like teams like Team Cherry are so awesome. It means it does put people in a lot of suspense, obviously. But in my opinion, I love the fact that they get their heads down, and they've got awesome people like yourself who handle the front of marketing and everything like that, while they can just do that creative side of things and just get their heads down. And also that way they can really keep working and working on the game until they feel completely happy, and then once they can see that goal, the game is finished to their standard they want it to be, they can then announce that release date. And often it's 1 month away or so. Like, I know it's different, but wasn't the original Hollow Knight that was announced like 2 weeks before release or something like that, or was that right? Yeah. I know it's different now, but
it was 2 weeks because there was a lot going on behind the scenes, even for that game. Like I was kind of wheeling and dealing with Humble.
Right.
To put we had like a sneak peek demo in the Humble bundle for that month.
Right.
At the beginning
nice.
of the month. So it was like, we worked out that arrangement in order to get Hollow Knight sort of put on their front page and do a pre-order and stuff like that on Humble's website.
Nice.
And just as a part of kind of hoping that people would be like, "What is this?" Oh, it's just a demo. Calling it sneak peek was like, I don't know if that was the best idea.
Sure.
Probably should have. Well, it wasn't up to us.
Yep. It's another coming soon, isn't it?
It was a demo. Yeah, another coming soon situation. Because people were like, is this the whole game? And there's a little bit of confusion there. But yeah, then 2 weeks before. We figured out the date we wanted to launch, and I basically had went in advance looking at weekends that we could launch the game. Like we weren't butting up against another major release, so I wouldn't be fighting for Twitch traffic with Resident Evil 8 or something big like that.
Yeah.
And we decided on the 24th, even though that was earlier than I wanted to release because Nintendo Switch was coming out.
Yeah, because you were originally announced to be going to the Wii, wasn't it, or Wii U, and then it migrated across to the Switch, which was cool. I've got that fresh in my mind because I watched that interview last night. I'm not that good of a memory.
That's great. Man, like I can tell you put a lot of effort into this. It's very well,
of course,
very well produced, and to hear that you've been stalking me a little bit this
of
week.
Course.
It's ironically refreshing.
I love that. Yes, I love a bit of stalking. I got to show more respect for you because I think you're awesome, and you work with an amazing team and on Hollow Knight, and it's my game of the generation, last generation. It's my best game I've played in a long time. So Hollow Knight is awesome. But I'm kind of trying to sort of talk about I think I was feeling like we're talking about your sort of marketing and the marketing side of things. I hope we're not sort of too into Hollow Knight too early. People were saying, I thought you were going to talk about Crowsworn. So maybe we should go into a little bit of Crowsworn. We can come back around. But just before we move past that, maybe is there anything, VJ, you wanted to add to what we were just talking about? Is there any questions you wanted to ask?
Just an observation, really. It was an interesting sentiment that you expressed, Leth, that you wanted to support smaller communities or even an underdog, right, in the gaming industry. That's a very British motivation. So British motivation, I should say, and I think. And the reason why I observed it, it was really interesting because at the beginning of the conversation, you were talking about that you were a teacher or were looking to become a teacher and educate people. I can understand to a degree from wanting to teach and educate and grow people as to why you're in your position in terms of what you do and your outlook into the in and towards the industry and what you've dedicated yourself to. Would that be a fair observation?
Yeah, although I never really looked at it from that angle. So you're that's interesting. There's like a relationship there. Yeah. For teaching, in hindsight, when I look at teaching, one thing that teaching taught me was that there's different ways to persuade people about things, and persuasion and teaching kind of go hand in hand because you have, in order to teach somebody something, it's much easier if you can get them sort of excited about it in a way.
Show them and lead them.
Like, right, yeah, yes, but everyone is there. There's a lot of different ways to approach any given person. Teaching was very difficult. It was very limiting because over here, at least, there's a lot of rules about what you have to teach and when and how. And I'm over here like, but if I do these 4 kids in the room are going to struggle because it's not going to click with them. Like they need a more hands-on or visual approach, whereas the book is telling me to do it through repetition or something. I mean, I'm not being very clear on it, but it's just people react differently to different, I guess, stimuli. And I always thought that that's what I took away from teaching, but I think you're right. I think the sort of motive to kind of like, as far as being in indie games, is a good fit for me because
psychologically, or
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it just fits. That motivation
Yeah,
still is there.
and
Yeah.
a rooted one, but in the same respect that in terms of teaching different children the same curriculum in terms of, look, this is how you take a game to market. I guess to some degree, given the sort of breadth and depth of the different developers that you're representing, and I'm not saying that I know any of that, but what I'm saying is that obviously they have different outlooks and perceptions in towards how industry is, what their product is, and how it should be led to market. And I guess that's your job then, to also not just help promote and support and grow that developer, but also to educate them in terms of how to manage their product and content. And I guess it goes back to, like you said, right? Don't sign anything until you speak to me, because I know.
Yeah. My intent with Crowsworn, and I guess we can jump right into Crowsworn now.
Yeah,
that was a great segue, VJ.
Yeah, let's do that. What I'm
brilliantly done there, sir.
Very good.
But so I've been following them. I'd been following Mongoose Rodeo on Twitter since December, and was like, oh my god, I gotta have this game. This looks like it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
And then I just remember waking up that week and checking, and I had like I've just found a tweet from Mossbag that was kind of going crazy.
Right.
Like, okay, everyone, chill out about calling this game a ripoff.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know there was anything going on. I was just like, oh, that's funny. That game looks awesome. So I just responded. Game looks great, but could use more buzzsaws, in my opinion. And then, then I start waking up, have coffee, shower, breakfast, whatever. And then suddenly it's like, oh, people are upset. Like I was just making a stupid joke.
Right.
And we got this little, what is this, a controversy happening here? And I'm over here like, this is great marketing,
Yeah, I was thinking that. I mean, even if it's like, controversial and there, some people may think, oh, what it is a ripoff or whatever. But, I'm not saying that's me at all. I'm just saying that gets the attention going, doesn't it? It gets the profile raised.
If people are talking,
yeah.
I'm happy, unless it's like, the game was broken at launch. You certainly don't want that to be a conversation that ever happens with the game.
Exactly.
But Crowsworn, I was serious that the game looks great.
Oh, it looks fantastic, yeah.
And I like I said, I've been following it for months, watching their screenshot Saturday videos go out.
Nice.
Like most of the stuff in the trailer I had already seen, because they just posted like this little clip, in the earlier months.
Yes.
And I certainly noticed sort of inspiration from Hollow Knight's art style, but I know better than to call it a ripoff. There's a lot going on, and you'll see a lot more when you see it in full resolution.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah.
On the Kickstarter video than this little Twitter compressed videos.
Absolutely. Yeah. Most definitely. We've only got like a very short 40-second-ish trailer or something at the moment, haven't we? And there's a couple of other clips that were, like you said, went up on Twitter, which actually looked really good. And I thought actually made it look a little bit different to Hollow Knight, in my opinion, especially the one where you're going through the puffs of maroon color, like
the lanterns,
thank you. Well, that came up short then. That it made it look a bit like almost 3D, like the character looks almost 3D like, or something going on there. Or just had a little bit of stood apart different from Hollow Knight there. We're judging, what it's like based on 40 seconds. You can't just judge things on just that. You know what I mean? There's so much that's going to be explored here, but I think it looks awesome. But yeah, so how did it?
But people will though. People will judge something based on 40 seconds. But the overwhelming response was positive. It was a good judgment.
For sure.
So we're like, that's what we think too.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's absolutely. And sorry, if you jump in there, VJ.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, you guys, Indy, you've reviewed so many games, and Leth, you've been around for so long in the industry. You can understand, right, the reactionary sort of times that we live in, right, and especially there's a tremendous amount of low rent opinions out there towards a game that reminds them of none other than a massive classic, right? And it's a lot to live up to. For me, when he sent me over the trailer, it really did surprise me and sort of catch me off guard when he sent over the trailer link. And for me, it's a welcome addition from another aspiring and talented developer. And overall, it looks really promising. And a lot of things that people don't know. I'm assuming that was the first thing I said to Indy, looking the way that it's rendered and some of the way that the game's actually been created, you can tell that it's probably using, the Unity engine. And obviously the Unity engine, and you don't expect an indie developer to sort of rewrite the whole rendering system, right, for how it looks, right, and plugins and so on and so forth. So the way I look at it is that everybody uses a canvas, right, and you could say the same thing about Unreal games. Everybody uses a canvas, and it's about how, at the end of the day, not today in terms of what you've seen, it's how the game ultimately engages your imagination in terms of when you should judge a game, and not just based on, like you said, a very compressed snippet for something somebody is trying to build, and it's just really showing you a glimpse of the foundation. So I just wanted to get that in there.
Yeah, that's a great shout.
That's an interesting point, that it is the same engine, so there's probably I would say bottlenecks, limitations there. Like there's only so much you can do with Unity in a 2D game, and the fact is that Team Cherry and Ari were very clever with how they developed Hollow Knight in a way to make it super efficient, and it's also very good. So so if you depart from that to a great degree, you risk making something bad.
Because it's true.
If you're like, I don't want to do it like Hollow Knight, then you risk doing something poorly, because Hollow Knight was done well.
Especially when they're so like I think they've declared that their love, the developers, Mongoose Rodeo, they've declared their love for Hollow Knight, and in fact it was inspired by Hollow Knight, Bloodborne, and Devil May Cry. So they're wearing that on the sleeve, which is great. I think it's the best way to approach this, and I can definitely see like the Bloodborne in there too. I think it's got like a gothic kind of feel and stuff going on. I think it looks awesome. But yeah, so was you on board before the Kickstarter Kickstarter trailer went out? Was you on board before that stage? Sorry.
Oh no, so I just
You saw the trailer.
I was on board with wanting the game.
Sure, yeah.
Some other people, but once it started, once the tweet announcing the Kickstarter teaser was like popping off and going crazy, I reached out, or basically I tweeted about him, and on Mossbags.
That's powerful as well. You tweeting about this game with who you are.
Well, there was I was like, I wanted to be like, look, dude, this game looks cool. We don't mind if people, look at Hollow Knight and go, I want to do that too. Like I'm totally down for that. Like I didn't play Metroid games to a great degree. I couldn't stay into them through the whole thing, and so I want more games like this with a faster pace to them.
Absolutely,
to keep me going. But
I
basically, they followed me back on Twitter. It's kind of a funny story.
Nice.
They followed me back, and then I shoot him a message, and I found out later that Alex was like, I think he was in his car driving somewhere. His wife was driving him somewhere, and he was like, oh, I just got a DM from Leth, like. Oh no, what's he gonna? Oh no, he's gonna rip me a new one. After all this.
Oh really? He thought that was coming. I like it. Yeah, because that would be you that probably did that, wouldn't it? Out of anyone.
I get. Maybe there are people like that. I certainly keep my distance if I get.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not about that. So yeah. And then he reads the message, and I'm like, hey, you're probably getting a bunch of publishers rushing at you right now, and before you sign anything with any of them, let's have a chat. The game looks great, and maybe I can be a part of it. And then we just got on a call, and
that's awesome.
They were kind of like, yeah, we have been talking to some publishers, and we're vibing with you much better than these suits that are popping in here. And trying to sell us a car that we don't want, kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's kind of a good likeness to what it can be like sometimes, I imagine. But yeah, so you kind of you work on like a freelance basis. Would you say, if you're happy divulging? Is that how you work with these companies? You're a freelancer for them, is it? You're not cool. Excellent. That's fantastic. So you kind of at your capacity with two at one time, or is there you're looking to build on more and stuff?
Yeah, I would say that I've only worked on 2 games simultaneously. Really.
Sure. Yep.
Like, while Hollow Knight was doing super well, I helped launch Pathway in 2018, when was that? 2019. And I'm still doing a little bit with that game here and there this year, and then now Crowsworn, and I've got some stuff going on behind the scenes with Team Cherry, and did some localizing for a game called Dreamscaper.
Oh yes, I know that game. Yeah, it's a good game.
And last year with Stardew Valley, I'm in charge of the team localizing Stardew Valley still.
Nice. And
helping Eric out with any new business ventures he wants to do. So it's like,
it's a lot of ongoing sort of things.
I could talk with the new games. Like, I've had games come to me and say, hey, we want to work with you too.
Yep.
But it's like, it's pretty risky. I don't want to take something on and not be able to do full 100% effort into it. It wouldn't be fair to that person, and it wouldn't be fair to the people I've already signed with.
That's very sensible.
I have to be careful. Just
makes a lot of sense. Yeah, definitely. No, definitely give your best that way. Makes 100% sense there. I'm gonna after this question, I'm gonna ask you. We're gonna see what Puxley's got to say first. So, Puxley, fire any questions you have. And by the way, at any point, I'm just gonna ask one question before we get to that, which is, how long that Mongoose Rodeo have actually been working on Crowsworn? Intrigued by that. Just if you know.
I think they officially started development. Maybe had some basic stuff worked out, but officially started, I think it was last October or November.
Nice. Cool.
And
So,
they're just cracking away at the technical bits and gameplay features and unlocks you'll get and whatnot, making them feel great and look great and sound great.
Fantastic.
And the advantage of doing that, and then also developing area snippets, like you could see in the video, you got the sewer area and the town area and the bridge and the Gothic look there.
Love that. Yeah.
And then in the lantern video, there was like inside of a Gothic cathedral kind of
good
art style. So they're like developing like the biomes, I guess people might, I don't think that's the right word, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Absolutely.
And so that way they can feature a bunch of different stuff in, let's say, a Kickstarter trailer, but it doesn't mean that all those areas are fleshed out and playable. It's like they're just creating little proof of concept.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Absolutely. And just quickly, I'll sneak in another one. What's the team size of the development team at Mongoose?
It's essentially, it's actually a lot like Team Cherry.
That's good.
They've got 2 Alexes though, and one of them is the lead programmer, and one's the lead designer and artist. Right. And there is another full-time artist working on the game.
Brilliant.
With helping with backgrounds and things like that. And then they have a sound team called A Shell on the Pit, who did sound for other indie games like Rogue Legacy.
Nice.
And Untitled Goose Game.
Oh, cool.
And I think this will be their biggest game, though.
Sure.
A couple of years.
I like that. Positive, thinking there. It's going to be a beast of a game, and I'm sure it will be. It's looking absolutely awesome.
I'm at the point where I'm like, guys, I gotta try the game before I sign any agreements.
Yep.
So they're like, oh, we have this really old demo. It's kind of janky, man. And they send it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
Nice.
This is gonna be awesome.
So you've been hands-on with this bad boy then, and excellent.
There was my announcement of joining the team had a video accompanying it, and you might be able to pull it up. It was our sort of the equivalent to the Crystal Dash You just turn into this whirling dervish with a sonic ball and fly
I know the
around
one. I saw that on Twitter actually.
Area.
Yeah. That was when you announced that you were joining the team, and that was part of the post. Yeah,
I tweeted it out as part of the Screenshot Saturday blitz, and then they're like, "Wait, what? You're joining us?"
Right? Yeah, you just announced yourself in.
We just had some fun with it. Like, I just announced it and like, I'm gonna work with them now. Like, I can do that.
I love it. No, that's super cool. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, Puxley, my friend, was there any juicy questions for us on this kind of topic?
There's quite a few questions actually.
Awesome, buddy.
I've been hard at work trying to keep up. I've got one here from Nicholas Veef, who asks, when will the Crowsworn Kickstarter launch?
Well, that's still a couple months away, because we've got something in the works that's going to be really cool, and basically we're waiting for that to come together as a part of the campaign. There's a lot of moving parts to make a nice, robust campaign that excites people. And in the meantime, we're just kind of like the team, the two Alexes, who are just, man, I'm so fortunate to work with people like Ari and William, and now Alex and Alex, just guys who just like, they just work so hard and can pump crazy stuff out in just like a week's time. Like, I got this idea. Yeah, okay. And then suddenly 6 days later, it's like, wow, yeah, you could tweet that. Like, it's already at that stage. Like the lanterns.
Such talent. Yeah, really is incredible, that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I heard Ori was saying that he sort of like knock up a little character, and then next day it's in the game kind of thing.
It's in the game, because they got the AI routines, and they just kind of push it together, and suddenly the guy's working. That's amazing. That's an amazing thing when you're working on a game like this, or on any game. Yeah. If the programmer can just, like, if you're an artist and then you're like drawing a little character, and then to see it in the world suddenly and functioning, and you can kill it or talk to it, let's say, or whatever you're gonna do with it, collect it, in some cases. It's like, it's just so neat to have that payoff, even as small as it is compared to releasing a game. It's still a great motivator.
Absolutely. Was there any other questions you had lined up there, Puxley, buddy?
One in particular, yeah. I've got one here from Hobby Tunes, who asks, if Leth is allowed to answer this question, I'll be interested to know, what is the general difficulty of Crowsworn?
Nice.
The difficulty of Crowsworn. Well, it's pretty early to answer that, but I did fight that boss that you see at the end of the video.
Okay, cool.
And that boss kicked my butt over and over again.
Brilliant.
I beat Nightmare King Grim in less than an hour.
That's bloody good going.
What my skill level's at.
Nice, yeah.
So basically, we tuned Hollow Knight to my ability. It was like, like the difficulty of the game. I was like, if I can beat it without getting too frustrated, that's probably fairly difficult, but it's not impossible. And then of course we have Greg, who's like the god gamer. He's like, you beat anything. Yeah,
I've heard you talk about him quite a bit. He's a bit too good for balancing.
But yeah, if you balance the game for him, no one, it'd be way too hard. So they kind of lowered they got to lower the difficulty where I can just have a good time with it and be like, yeah, that was good. I liked it.
So you do a lot of testing then for them, the balance.
But right now, that Sir Garen on that bridge.
Oh yeah.
I swear, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. This beautiful bridge. Boom,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, what? Boom, 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 dead. I'm like, what just happened? Like, it was like Nightmare King Grim all over again.
Yes.
Like you get hit by every attack.
Absolutely.
And then you're outside and you're like, okay, all right, I see how it is.
Yeah.
You go back in, slam, 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 slam. But it was super fun. And when I beat him, I was like, oh, yeah, that feeling was so good.
That is the key, isn't it? That is one of the main things about
really the payoff.
Satisfaction. Yeah.
If it feels good to win, maybe I don't know when that boss will be, if that will be an end game, mid game. I don't think it's going to be an early boss though. With how tough it was.
Right. Yeah, sure thing. But yeah, I love that about these style of games, when it does take a bit, maybe sometimes, maybe there for an hour sometimes, but then when you beat them, you feel like you've actually earned it, and it's really satisfying, and that's what I love. So now I can beat him. I can, when I play it
I'll play it real quick to get some screenshots or something. Like I did that recently, and I just did it in the first try. You know, so it's like, you know, it's definitely. If I maybe was more patient, I could have got further in the first try. I just like to jump in and start swinging, and I paid the price. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there any more, Puxley, or should we move back?
Yeah, I've got one more actually before we move on. One
lovely.
here from Neon Taste, who asks, "How did you come up with the name Crowsworn, and were there any other great candidates that weren't chosen?"
I cannot answer that. I don't know. I'm
That's
still
beyond before you were there. Was it within those that was chosen?
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'm still getting my sea legs here with this team, or
sure.
You know, I don't know what the phrase would be, but like I'm still I'm hanging out with them and learning. It's weird to like be on a. It's weird to be on an interview this early in a game's development.
Sure. Yeah.
Like this is new for me, so it's a testament to how well the game is being received and how. You know how much reach it's already had, but it has been a challenge because I want to talk about Crowsworn, and I just don't have all the details. I have a lot, but then it's also like, you know, we have a Kickstarter coming up, so you don't want to either. So
definitely
you want to just oh yeah, okay, now you got some images.
Yeah, image slideshow from the press kit here. So
the press kit.
Yeah,
great shots, and you can see the spinning roll movement and the cathedral shot.
Absolutely, yes. So like it does look absolutely beautiful. There's one question actually, because when I was reading this, everybody probably knows this already, but the Steam page is now up, by the way, and there is a link to it in the description below. So if you want to check out the Crowsworn and give it a wish list, guys, definitely give it a wish list. Obviously, helps out those indie games a hell of a lot. But yeah, I was going to ask, you didn't actually use the word Metroidvania on that. I don't know if that was a conscious decision or not. I noticed you did use the word interconnected, but I don't know. Is this a Metroidvania, would you say, or is that still being sort of decided? Will it be the fact where you know, similar to, you know, you'll get a double jump to be able to access new areas, you'll get certain abilities to access new areas? Would you know that by this stage?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely,
it will
cool.
be
Brilliant.
I think that you know what it's kind of a running gag now with the team that I have a really poor short-term memory.
Love it.
So I'm constantly writing stuff down and repeating myself. But I think I brought that up, and it was like, yeah, because Metroid and Castlevania are too slow, and
right.
You know,
okay.
Like action. Team Cherry was the same way. They didn't want to really use the word Metroidvania either. They were like,
right.
Can we call it an action platformer or
something
like that? A big part of marketing. So there's like a part of marketing. It's almost like with audio, you want to lift something, and then you like the volume of something, let's say, but then you also want to limit it so it doesn't go too high and start clipping. For those of you who are into audio, you're like, okay,
yes, I know.
Everyone else is probably like, what?
I totally know what you mean.
But so you want the marketing of the game, you want the sort of prestige and presence of the game to get louder quickly, but you also want to temper it and not let the expectations get too wild. You want to make sure people know exactly what they're getting when they buy the game. You don't want people to be surprised. So certainly,
yeah, it's a tricky balance.
We didn't say Metroidvania, and maybe we got to address that. If people are like looking for Metroidvania and they go to the page and they're like, wait, it's not very clear.
The thing is, as a fan of Metroidvanias myself, I do sometimes click on that Metroidvania tab in Steam to find some new Metroidvanias, if you see what I mean. So,
well, that's not up to us. That'll get there.
That'll still get there, yeah.
Yeah, people will absolutely tag it Metroidvania, and it'll show up under that tag.
Tag-wise, yeah, as long as it's on that tag-wise, and it's all good, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, that's new music to my ears personally, because like I said, I'm a big fan of the genre, and yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of Hollow Knight. So, you know, exploring the world, the sense of discovery, you know, uncovering the map and bringing it, you know, by the end of it, you've got the whole map all unlocked, and it's just like a process of unlocking that area, and then you have to go around that side of that bit to, just bring it together. I mean, I just love that part of it. But there's so many elements to it as well, which carries across to all Metroidvanias really, like Ori and of course Crowsworn will be a Metroidvania, so that will be awesome too. But yeah, it just looks absolutely phenomenal. Can you tell us much about the combat at all? I know you've got a gun in this, which is definitely not in Hollow Knight.
No, yeah, you got a couple guns.
Is that something which is always with you? How does that work in the game? Do you know?
Well, I'm not sure how much I can say.
Okay, no problem.
You could definitely use guns, and you can reload them at any time. You just have to be stationary on the ground. So
okay.
There's a risk there.
I see.
So it takes a brief moment to reload.
Okay, that's quite a nice little element, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a video out there that shows more of the boss fight, and you'll see him kind of like shoot all his bullets, do like a jump dodge, hit with his scythe a few times, and then you'll see him quickly like reload his guns really quickly. But there's also going to be some what we're calling Corvian powers, which you might have saw if you looked at the about Crowsworn PDF I dropped in that press kit. There's and you can see some of them in there. There's like some dark magic at work here with the character, and it'll influence your other abilities and also give you some new moves you can pull off.
That sounds very, very cool. And like you say, the pacing is a little bit quicker. It's hard not to compare. Tell me off if you don't want me to do that. I really apologize if I do. But it's kind of it's just a way of a benchmarking, if you know what I mean, and then you can sort of go with. But yeah, like I say, it's nice to see like that element of the gun. I mean, are we looking at the top left of the screen? There's the red. That's the health, or is there like a pool? Mm-hmm. Is that the health, and is that a sort of like you build up your health like soul, or is that something different? On the
the red is your health bar, and I remember listening to Alex talk about it. He was kind of like, yeah, you could do just a bar, like Dark Souls, for instance.
Sure, yeah.
But he found that the way Hollow Knight did it with the masks was it sort of had more weight to it.
Yes.
Like when you see 3 masks drop,
mm-hmm.
It's like dealing with the smaller numbers like carries more weight to people because they can wrap their head around it very quickly. So it's kind of like I don't know if you ever play those casino games on the mobile phones, but you're dealing with like millions of dollars that you're betting at a time. Like you're like, oh yeah, I'll spin the slot machine for 100,000, and it's just these giant numbers. And or actually maybe a better example would be like some of the old Final Fantasy RPGs, right? And you're hitting an enemy for millions of damage and they still don't die, and your brain kind of just goes,
yep.
Like, what is even happening? Is that a lot of damage? I
yeah,
thought it would be, but there's still like, it gets foggy.
I know what you mean.
It's much easier. It's like 3 out of 5 was lost. It's like, oh my god, I'm almost dead now. Like,
absolutely.
So, there's just something about it that So basically, Crowsworn, we look at something that Hollow Knight did, and said, and the question is, if we change it, will it be better or not? And most often the case is it's not.
Yep.
But then on top of that, we say, can we make it more badass? And then
exactly. Put our spin on things. Yeah, definitely. That's the great shout. Puxley or VJ, have you got any questions on Crowsworn while we're?
I just had a question. I had an observation and a question, if that was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I think just something you were saying earlier, Leth, was that I think a couple of reasons why devs are sort of, especially indie devs, are capable to sort of turning around an idea or a suggestion or concept so quickly. I think it was something you mentioned earlier in the conversation, is the workflow. When you mentioned that that it's extremely quick and efficient, right? And and secondly, I guess the other observation was the fact that you also said something about previously working at larger studios, and the end game being becoming an indie developer. And I guess there it's a job or endeavor, hitting your producers' sort of deadlines at a sprawling studio versus playing gracefully with your own inspirations and ideas. So that was the observation. And I guess I guess listening to you and how early you are in the process of Crowsworn, I guess the question that popped into my mind, and I don't know if this is another segue or not, but
segue master.
has it been really for you to really sort of embed yourself in the process and make the games as much of a success as possible? Has it been sort of mandatory to play a ton of Silksong throughout the development of the game in order to really sort of absorb everything about it on a genuine level, so that then you can then go on to represent Team Cherry's second very imminent game?
Very imminent. I love it. That's the juice.
Are you sure? Are you in marketing or what's going on here?
I've worn many hats in the games industry. I was in it for about 20 years.
Okay.
I love that. Secret weapon.
So one thing, I think I've said this in interviews before, but maybe people don't know this, is that I prefer to not play. I mean, I want to play the game early on to get a sense for how it'll turn out, and I like to see updates. But I also prefer, if at all possible, to play a game when it's basically fully playable. Maybe missing some like sound effects, or maybe one boss fight is incomplete or something, or some dialogue still being touched up, because I like to experience it. I mean, I'm a gamer too, still, to a large degree.
Yeah.
And I wanna have the end user experience, so I could give them feedback as just a regular game player instead of a marketer. Because I think that's something else I can bring to a team. And with my coding background, I can often, if I feel like something is missing or confusing, I can usually propose solutions that have very little overhead, like
nice.
That I know won't take a bunch more work or efforts, or like, because I just have enough background there. It's like, I'm not going to suggest something where you got to go get an artist to work for 30 hours on some fix. It's usually can come up with something very lightweight, but will address the problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
That tells me you're coming very close to the end of beta. And for me, it's I'm seeing.
If VJ does it, I won't feel bad.
Feel free to cut me off at any time.
No,
I
it's
feel
all good.
like you're talking about coming to the end of beta, and it's a pretty common place whereby the game's functionality and content is pretty much complete, but technical errors and other errors are persisting, and optimization is still required. But looking at the studio, looking at the ethos and looking at them speak and observing some of the stuff that you've been doing for them, and I'm sorry, I say some, I'm doing you a discredit. There are a lot of stuff that you're doing for them. I think that their main focus in motivation is tightening up the player experience. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the game's getting physical release or just a digital release and so on and so forth. I don't even know what you're allowed or not allowed to say, but I'm reading into a lot into what you're saying, and I guess I really shouldn't talk about it because it'll just rile up the chat. But I don't want to do that.
Maybe save it for 5 more minutes. We'll wrap up on Crowsworn. I don't want to discuss. If you don't mind, VJ, if you don't mind, Leth as well.
Trying to get that segue again.
That was a beautiful segue. I was a little premature segue that time, maybe, but I love what you were saying. If you don't mind, I just want to wrap up on Crowsworn a little bit, because I'm sure Leth would want to make sure it gets his proper attention. If you don't mind, we will segue to that as the final straight, if you don't mind. On a little bit of Leth evading our questions probably for the last 10 minutes or so. But
if we could, we have a Kickstarter in the works.
Yeah,
we're prepping it, but there is a page you can go to. If we could link it, if you have like a mod or somebody that could.
I think Daz did that earlier on, but we'll do that again.
Okay.
If you could, actually that was the other one, but if anyone could drop the link, it's in the description below, to the Kickstarter. I could do it. Actually, I'm looking at it, so I might as well just do it.
We're basically, if you're interested in backing early and being a part of that, which a lot of people are, some people aren't, and that's fine. For the people who aren't, there's a Steam page you can wishlist.
Most
so
definitely.
then you'll get. And you can follow. I actually posted our first sort of update or announcement on Steam just before I got on call with you, and you can get updates through there. But if you're interested in if you're interested in the game but don't want to do the Steam route, if you're interested in the game, you want to do either of those, but you just want to see how it goes, then the Twitter is the best, I would say, the best outlet for getting updates right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's where they're posting new images and new videos all the time. And
I've dropped all three of those. Yeah, juicy memes.
Some crows with guns. And
yeah, I've seen that one a few times.
Yeah, that happened. I'm gonna just tell you, the number of times you've seen that on Twitter is nothing compared to the number of times we throw that guy out in the chat.
I bet, yeah. When I first saw that, I thought, oh my god, he's made that just for me. I was like, oh no.
No, I know. Yeah, I threw that one at you too, just because it's like second nature for me now with the dev channel. It's like, hey man, did you work on that post? And then you just put the crow pointing a gun. It's like, we're just cracking up.
It's brilliant.
It's so funny.
I love it. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I've dropped all three of those links. Definitely hit them up, guys.
Thank you.
You know, at very least, give them a follow on Twitter and give them a wish list on Steam. Even if you don't buy on Steam, it's good to wish list because, you know, keep an eye on games and keep for the progress and stuff like that. Even if you're a console gamer or whatever. That brings me to a little question. This is being aimed at the PC, I imagine. First, is there any console plans, or is it kind of like something that's very much just focused the PC release on Crowsworn?
Oh, Crowsworn. So it was. I think our PC is the focus at the moment.
Sure. Yeah, I can imagine.
But then of course we want to, Unity's a flexible engine.
Yes.
So we believe that we'll be able to eventually get it on all the console platforms, I think.
Very nice indeed. Yeah, so I imagine maybe you'll get that out and then you see how that goes and potentially roll it out further. If so, I'm just guessing. But yeah, it's early days for you, isn't it, on that front? But it, like VJ said the other day, he said it looks very polished, and he felt that it might be a little bit far on. If that's what you said, isn't it, VJ? You thought it looked very nicely polished.
I'm throwing you into
the fire there because you did it a minute ago. Just as speculative.
I think what's really pleasantly surprising, Indy, is that, of course, the Unity engine's really well proven, right? And I think Leth said, look, you know what, the team size isn't that huge, and it's pretty similar to Team Cherry's. And I think the inspiration there, especially from a consumer point of view, you'll take a certain inspiration, but from a developer's standpoint, you'll look at Team Cherry's first game and say, okay, right, I can pretty much understand the workflow. This is doable. But I think the most important thing is to really get traction and to really sort of set the cat amongst us pigeons. And I'm not doing any discredit to the talent over at Crowsworn, because it's pretty obvious from what you're seeing that a sort of a vertical slice or a concept polished to this.
Proof of
and
concept.
You can see if you look really carefully, you can see where the placeholders are already, but you can see the momentum and the artistry and the vision that they already have and where they're going to. And I think Leth sees that more so than any of us, right? Because he's doing this day in, day out.
Absolutely.
They're very lucky to have him on board. And being in touch with him in order to take this project forward. So that's the only point I want to make before I get myself into any legal trouble.
He's just made up. He's just getting up, jigging himself out that hole. I think that's what that was.
You a script to speak from.
Yeah, a number of these screenshots I took myself just playing
nice.
the internal demo that we have.
Nice, that's fantastic.
And just like pausing the so I'd record on video, me running around town or whatever.
Yep.
And then just pausing the video and snapping a shot, because it's just really easy to get action shots that way. It's difficult if you're playing a game to reach over and hit capture. How do you do that? I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
Yeah, so the mid-air shot and I don't know, all that stuff. I had a blast just even the demo, how early it is. I played it over and over and over again, and then was like, oh, I actually didn't finish this area. Like, I died too early last time.
Right, yeah.
Go back and finish it.
Fantastic,
There are some spots with some temporary art. Of course, I didn't take screens of those. And then, just did all the stuff that looks more finished.
Most definitely, yeah. Sorry, VJ, did you say something?
I was just saying that from everything that Leth says, if you listen to him really, really carefully, you can glean so much information out of him. I'm just staying scum. But I'm gleaning so much from him at the moment. It's incredible.
I love that. I love it.
We are here. I'll give you another segue. I've learned to be very careful, very, very careful with what I say, and impart this ability onto Ari and William for Hollow Knight Silksong, because we knew it was going to be a second game before we even launched Hollow Knight, like years ago. We knew it was going to be its own game, and we were very, very careful not to say when the Hornet DLC, yada yada, Hornet DLC. We said Hornet campaign, Hornet story, Hornet adventure, like because we didn't want to mislead people, even though we weren't saying the outright it's another game.
Definitely,
like, and then it was starting to kind of just be a big weight on our shoulders before we finally were like, we gotta announce this, because people are gonna start wondering, where's the Hornet DLC? And we're like, we need to tell them it's gonna be a whole other game. That's why it's gonna take longer.
Absolutely, yeah. So are we transitioning into maybe we can do a little Silksong? Would you be okay with that, Leth? You don't have to answer.
Yeah,
it could be. Is that all good?
Crowsworn, everybody. I already said it. We already got the links in chat.
Yes, indeed.
The game is going to be a beast, and I think it'll fit right into anybody who's a fan of Hollow Knight. It's going to fit right into your library. And I'm giving you the marketing guy pitch right now, but
I'm sure it's true.
I'm more a genuine guy than that. Like I was following it since December, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. Like,
that is awesome.
I think it's going to be great.
You definitely have, a personable kind of feel to you, the way you speak. You definitely feel like a real gamer, kind of like that. This is a bit of a weird comparison, but a bit of a Phil Spencer kind of attitude. He feels like a real gamer. He's working for the top of Xbox, but you are, a marketing guy, but you're very much a gamer and, a down to earth guy, which is really cool. So I definitely would trust you.
See this guy buttering my bread, everybody. Are you seeing this?
So where's that release date then?
I don't know. He's trying to get me to come back.
Brilliant.
I'm just teasing.
I love it. I'm gonna press the inevitable button. It's happening. There we go. We're transitioning, boys. All
right.
So then, obviously, we can't expect an answer to every question here, guys. If we are out of line, don't worry.
Oh wow! You have other scenes for each. This is incredible, man.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like.
Very well done.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Have to make the effort, of course.
It's wonderful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, we're gonna we're transitioning into Silksong. I'm sure the chat is gonna become alive. Not that it wasn't alive for Crowsworn, because Crowsworn is looking awesome. But a lot of people are fans of the Hollow Knight in the chat, which is awesome. And there's a lot of love for Silksong. That is definitely one thing, is for sure. So I mean, just maybe we'll start a little bit softer on this, and then just regards to Silksong, how are you handling the crazy hype for Silksong? How are you handling that as a whole?
Well, I don't know. I think that's better of a question for you guys.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I could tell you how I think I've been handling marketing and whatnot, but ultimately
that's interesting, because do you feel like you're puppeteering this whole thing? Because that's what it feels like to me, almost, because like you're in charge of the Discord and all that, and on Twitter you're conducting the Hollow Knight army, aren't you? Essentially, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I do feel like that, but I do feel that way, but it's not something I take for granted.
I
want to do right by the fans.
Sure.
I think I've told you before, and you've heard it in other interviews. I told you before we went live.
Yes.
That I really don't want to troll anybody or play with people's feelings. Like, it's there's a degree of that to marketing, but it's not something I'm not trying to upset people and play with their feelings at all. It's
brilliant.
I'm trying to just do right by the fans.
Absolutely.
And we're at this place with Silksong, and that like you described it as a fever pitch, and it's like, yes, so we have to make sure we're not goofing around as much
Yeah.
as you might like to. Like right now with Mongoose Rodeo, we're goofing about. We're tweeting memes at each other and stuff.
It's interesting, yeah. It's a different thing, isn't it?
A different gear.
Yeah, exactly.
for Team Cherry.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good thing, actually. It's maybe reminded me of one thing I was going to ask you, which, I mean, it must be not necessarily night and day, but very different to when you were on the run up to, maybe on the run up to the release of Hollow Knight versus now must be quite a bit different now that you have all the attention of everyone without even asking for it almost.
Yeah, like Hollow Knight, I was putting out images of the game every week, every Saturday, screenshot Saturday for like months leading into launch. And we're probably not going to, we don't need to do that for Silksong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like I was employing every trick in my bag, to try and spread the word about the game.
Yeah.
Silksong is different. It's going to be more managing expectations for Silksong and trying to like just keep people grounded a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't want the hype to go to No Man's Sky level.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. You got to sort of, they marketed that wrong, didn't they? Marketed it as a AAA and all that malarkey, but that's a whole different story. But and it went completely a different story. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's
we're gonna launch sorry to cut you off, but we're gonna make sure Silksong is a great game and launch it when it's ready.
Yeah.
And those two things take care of most of the problems that say No Man's Sky had. No Man's Sky is an interesting story because now people think it's it's like actually matching much better to what
it's the redemption story, isn't it? It's a really big one.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually quite compelling, and I applaud that team. I don't want to disparage them. I applaud them for doing the work.
Absolutely.
To this point.
Yeah, well said. No, it's a great shout. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm going to sign this one to either Puxley or VJ. I'm going to be selfless and let them fire a Silksong question. How about it, guys?
I've got a question. Yeah, I've got a question.
They're poised. Love it.
To be fair, I'm actually asking questions from the community, from the chat. I've got
okay, buddy.
So one here from someone asks, when was the last time Team Cherry took a day off? If it was less than a month ago, tell them to take a few days off.
Yeah.
Nice.
They took a couple weeks off at the end of February, I think. Was it February or March? It was recent. They took some time. They took like a little holiday because I didn't know they did actually.
Really?
So I was like sending them messages and like not getting a response. I'm like, hey, what come on, answer me. What's happening?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Matt, we're on holiday, man, but we'll get back to you next Monday. And sounds good or something. And I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't know. Sorry. Enjoy your time off. I didn't mean to bug you.
Oh, no pun intended.
Oh God, no, I actually did. As much as I love puns, I did not intend that.
Sorry about that. I do love a pun as well. Any more questions from the chat, Puxley, buddy?
Oh, there's quite a few I've got saved here.
It sounds like he's got a ton.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I'm just not sure which ones to read out because I think I might know the answer. I don't think they can be revealed, but I will ask some actually. So a good one here actually. Do you know if it's been easier? Do you know if development on Silksong has been easier than the original Hollow Knight?
Yeah, that's probably too broad. I would say the challenges come from other directions than they did for the first game. So like sort of the pitfalls of developing the first game were addressed, like for instance, optimizing the engine or problems with the engine running well on Switch, for example, was something that they had to deal with post-launch of Hollow Knight with Shark Jump Studios. And we expected to have a Switch version of the game much earlier, but the Switch was having trouble with something. I think it was the Playmaker AI thing that we had, so we had to like recode all that from scratch, like all the AI systems, and make it just more of a lightweight engine. So the Switch
quite a big deal then.
It had less memory. Yeah. So now that's out of the way. There's probably not as much optimization concerns for Silksong, but then
Yeah.
suddenly you gotta just like hold back and maybe keep yourself from going too nuts with ideas. Like, don't let the scope creep.
Well, that's the thing. They are so
settle in.
creative, amazing people. I mean, it's clear to see. Obviously, I love you know Team Cherry as well, but I just adore what they do and how they work. But the creativity just pours out of them, and I'm sure that's just never ending almost. Maybe they're the with that being the case, I mean, it must be hard maybe to sometimes know when to stop. Maybe, I don't know whether that's an issue for them at all.
It is. It is. No, it absolutely is. When you have a bunch of creative people in a room, that start bouncing off one another, it gets a little crazy. And you can definitely, like, whenever I join teams, I'm kind of like, I try to get them to create a wish list, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's like, whenever you have a new idea, put that on the wish list. And sometimes if it's like really good but it's going to be a ton of work, maybe put that for the sequel wish list, like just push it aside and understand you don't have to put that in the game for it to be great.
Absolutely.
You can just don't go too crazy. And they're definitely, I mean, I get on a call with them periodically, like and just most of the time it's just so everyone can update what they've been doing.
Right, awesome.
But then they'll still just start going great, like going off on an idea, and I'm like, wow, this is. I mean, I love hearing it, because that's the fun part of the creative process. But it's also kind of like, we haven't figured that out yet, or are we just gonna keep adding stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, let's not go there. And so there's different challenges to a sequel versus the debut game.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm gonna ask a challenging question. Feel free to punch me in the face, Leth, if you would like. That's that would be virtually, obviously.
Is that how you guys do things over there? That's new to me.
It's a side of affection. Side of affection over here. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say. Obviously, there was this big thing that blew up where you mentioned that the game is finished, was the words, I do believe. I know it was probably blown out of proportion, but I can't let this go past without mentioning it.
That's okay. It's fine. I'm glad to be able to
clear it up.
We're over 1,000 people now, by the way.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, everybody. You're amazing. This is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So I've touched on this. I've touched on this in other interviews, but I'm happy to address it again,
That'd be
because
wonderful.
I think it's important that people know what happened there. So I majored in philosophy and minored in mathematics, and I also have an associate's degree in like a 2-year degree in programming.
Right.
So I really enjoyed logic and just sort of theorizing about stuff and talking about maybe this is the right way to launch a game, maybe this or that, I mean, I do have some experience there, but then I was just telling people, someone basically in the Discord, someone asked, and I tend to lurk in there. They all know that I could answer, I could pop into the discussion at any moment, they're always kind of wondering where I am. But they were asking, like, how come Team Cherry hasn't just said the game is 80% done? And they were asking just the general Discord,
Sure.
And then I responded like, because you just can't do that. Like, I mean, you certainly can, but it would be wrong in most cases to not like a morally wrong, but just you would end up being wrong. Like, how do you quantify what point you're at, really, until you don't know you're done? You don't really know the game's done till it's done. And even then, there's always more stuff you could add or fix or whatever. So are you ever at 100%?
Sure.
So it's like, so I felt, I was just trying to explain to him, look, even if and I wasn't even talking about Team Cherry. I was like, even if a developer said, we're all done with the story of the game and we're in final testing, that still doesn't really tell you anything about when you should expect a release date.
Yes.
Like, I actually believe, I don't know if this is true, but my suspicion is that games that announce themselves at E3 and say, coming this October. You know, like
wow, I can see why you do voices now.
Like they do that, right? They create
That's
this mega
brilliant.
hype, October 22nd.
That was
you know,
really good.
And then
Amazing.
like so they do that, and I'm over here like, now that game's already done.
Yeah.
And they're just optimizing and doing some testing.
Yep.
And because it takes months just to print out a bunch of physical copies, you know,
Sure.
and like put them in boxes and ship them and whatever. So they have to be done 2 months prior to that date already. So they're probably already done. So that's just, I was like, this is just my philosophy. Finish, have something you could deliver and people can play, and then start talking about release dates.
Yep.
And then, but some companies don't do that. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, so you were kind of sort of saying it's done and it could be.
Oh God! Someone said save October 22nd.
Which
Someone said October 22nd. Save the date, everyone. Oh no.
Am I missing?
I'm talking about theoretical game developers.
Oh
here,
right,
guys,
sorry.
not Team
I
Cherry.
yeah, that's the thing. Everyone hangs on the words, don't they? That's the. I mean,
Yeah.
that must be something you have to deal with on day in day out. I guess.
I said it like the nailsmith, so it must be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Must be a,
It's it must be interesting for you, but like there's people say like it's all the time just like that must be he said that and that's kind of like going running with it kind of thing, if you know what I mean. But
what I know what you mean is I just retweet the indie world
yep.
and I say yay more indies.
Yeah.
And then Silksong starts trending.
Yeah.
Because why? I understand
That's
why.
the power.
I'm
Yeah.
not dumb.
I know what
But
you mean.
I really try to make it clear. Look, I'm just excited about indies.
Yeah,
Getting a great opportunity with Nintendo.
facts.
You know, like it's unbelievable what Nintendo's doing, and I'm thankful to have them as a partner and to have them as a gamer. You know, just doing what they do.
Definitely.
For indies,
They're awesome.
like, man, I wish all those bigger companies would see what.
Yep.
The opportunity in that.
So divert into that then for a more comfortable position.
I thought there was a couple more. I thought Puxley still had.
Oh, did he have a couple more juicy on the Puxley?
I've got loads of questions.
Yeah.
I've actually got one in particular because you just mentioned Nintendo there, and one of the questions I've seen a few times in chat, which I think might be quite interesting, is: are you able to go into any real detail as to what is the process for maybe getting on a Nintendo Direct or an Indie Direct, or how you even got approached?
I was just going to ask that. Actually, it's funny.
And hope for the best, or did Nintendo approach you about this thing, like the original and this one, regardless?
Good show.
Okay, that's a good question. Unfortunately I don't have an answer for that because part of my job with the teams that I join is not to sort of hoard all of the connections. Like Ari and William developed Hollow Knight, so I absolutely should try and get them on a phone call with Nintendo, right? If I can, like, let's say they hadn't talked to Nintendo before, so I try to set that up. But when it comes to the process, it is important that they're involved because I'm a freelancer, so. You know, if I did it all myself and then I walked away and started working on something else, then they're kind of like, wait, what do we do about our next game? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
If they didn't learn anything, then so there's kind of an interesting kind of like I pass the torch to the team.
Typically,
unless they ask me to, like, hey Matt, can you handle this thing? But I do want them to be involved with Nintendo. So when it came to Hollow Knight and setting up Silksong at E3, for instance. It was like, hey, Matt, by the way, we're going to have a Silksong booth, and we'd like you to be there at E3. And I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, sure. I'll be there. But they set it up without me, so I don't know. I'm assuming Nintendo reaches out because, Nintendo does what they want.
Sorry, just to help on that. Typically what happens is that most developers, publishers have an account manager, and they always sort of keep an eye on what their accounts are doing in terms of the developer publisher that they're with. And normally it's the account manager that will know about upcoming events and that will champion your cause. And obviously, there's no bigger cause to champion than obviously Silksong. So I thought I'd just add that in the.
So they probably have someone that is fighting for us on their end. Yeah, I would guess.
Not that it'd be much of a fight right up against Silksong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's got to. Oh dear, we could slip into it, couldn't we? But I mean, it's got to be at a big event, hasn't it? Surely. I mean, it wouldn't want to be at some event called E3 or something like that. I don't know.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
I was last left. How busy is it going to be in June, August, October?
Wait, sorry. I'm not hearing VJ right now. So sorry. Can you... No, I really can't hear him.
He's actually cutting out a little bit. Yeah. Go again, VJ.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, how's your calendar looking? How busy are you in June, August?
Okay.
Major events. Are you going to be easy to get a hold of to come back on the show?
Good question.
Well, you guys would want me to come back to talk about indies being announced for all those E3 events that are being announced.
I like it.
About.
Beautiful. Regardless, we would if we want this quick escape.
Well, so
I imagine there's not much you can say, but yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely beholden to the fans, but I also I'm beholden to Team Cherry as well, and
absolutely.
I find myself sometimes kind of being pulled by both sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. That must be incredibly tough. When was the last time you played Silksong?
Okay, all right. I will answer this question.
Yep, brilliant.
This is something I've never said.
Brilliant.
So we have a little something. For
a little gem. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Start theorizing. What does this mean, kind of thing.
Love it.
So I haven't played Silksong.
Oh no! Didn't expect that. So Katie Casper's played it, but you haven't. Oh no.
Well, okay. I played what she played.
Oh, okay. So you played that, right? Okay, cool.
I played that demo. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was like that was the E3 demo. I had that on my PC.
Okay, nice.
When I formatted everything and.
Because that demo's, we're watching it right now, obviously, guys. If you didn't notice.
Oh no, I definitely played.
That. I thought you must have. Yeah,
and it was great. But
yeah, that's quite in depth as well, isn't it?
Game.
Quite a nice little demo. Yeah, so you haven't played since that. The heads have been down. Ari and William, they've been focused.
Yes, they went to work, and our site crashed on February 14th again. Which is kind of a funny thing that always happens to Team Cherry. So then, I've been busy with, at first I was initially looking for someone to redo our sites, and then they were like, we don't want all that. We just want our sites to just be put on a new server or something. So I ended up just making them again myself.
Yep.
So I've been busy with that.
This website looks fantastic. Is that the one the one that's up now, is it?
All three, the hollowknight.com, hollowknightsilksong.com, and teamcherry.com.au. I redid all those. And then we also got the silksong.com domain from somebody who was charging a big number for it. And we just were like, all right, we'll just buy it from him now. Before it gets too out of hand.
Is that the one that diverts to? Oh no, it doesn't divert. It's an actual different way. Yeah, it does.
Silksong goes if you type silksong.com, it will take you to our site.
But, I think that's why I did. Yeah.
But we didn't. But I don't know where it took you before. I think it was just like you can buy this.
Right. But you can buy some silk to weave or something.
And you know what? Mongoose Rodeo is the one who cued me onto that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. When I first joined them, they were like, you know what, they were tempted to just buy it themselves to make sure someone trustworthy, had it, and then they were gonna, pass it on to Team Cherry. But as soon as they told me, I let Ari know, and he's like, maybe we should buy that. I was like, yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
It's at silksong.com.
Absolutely. someone in the chat actually asking about the blog posting. So I know when they announced the game, when they did that Valentine's Day and they did the video, when they did the two of them chatting quite candidly about the stuff, they mentioned they were going to do more blog posts. But then obviously, I think what happened maybe is they just decided to focus on the game. Is that ever going to come back anymore? Like, or is that kind of in your hands? So if you that
no,
sort of thing?
I don't write the so part of my sort of another part of my publishing philosophy is that I don't want to I mean, again, I kind of alluded to the idea that I don't want to be responsible for something and then drop some big responsibility on them as soon as I've got another game I'm working on or something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
So I really shy away from taking on a ton of work or bringing regular blog posts to a team or something like that when most developers don't want to deal with that.
Yep.
But on top of that, it's important to me that when you guys see a message come from Team Cherry Games on Twitter or the blog goes up, that you know that it's Ari or William writing these. You're hearing from them directly, and it's not some dude in the States who's never even been to the office. You know,
you're pretty popular in the community, a bit of a legend in that community, in the Hollow Knight community. So
yeah, but you know, people hear from me a lot.
Yep, sure.
And I have my own voice on the internet, and so I don't want to speak for them. And I think most people prefer to know that it's like, okay, we just heard from William and Ari when the blog post goes up. So I think more are planned. More blog posts will be coming. Right now they're
nice.
they're you know, I've certainly been encouraging them. I didn't want to do all this work on a website for nothing.
Yeah, well, that's it, I guess. Yeah.
I even went through all the posts and reformatted them all in like a fancy way, like it would be like in Game Informer or something.
Right, nice.
And just in case people go back and read them, it looks all nice. And,
absolutely, yeah.
And then William and Ari were like, "Wow, this looks great."
Yeah,
why'd you do all this work? And I was like, oh, you know, if you guys write something up, I'll do this for that post too if you want. You know,
nice.
That doesn't change the message. It's still coming from them. I just spice it up.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it's super exciting. I mean, obviously you can tell it's my most anticipated game by a long shot, and I think everyone on this show pretty much as well. Certainly VJ I could speak for, I would say. But yeah, we've had many long in-depth conversations over the adoration for Hollow Knight and just its craft. Every part of it is just amazing. Certainly, to be honest with you, like, I'm super excited for it, but I want them to take all the time they need. And I think I encourage the community. I know the excitement is very high, and I love that about, you know, the Hollow Knight community, but I also encourage you guys to sort of have an element of patience for them, because, you know, I'm sure they're going to do this anyway, but they're going to do everything they can to make the game the best it can be for us. And then, you know, ultimately when they feel that it's at a stage it's all good, they will say, here you go guys, get cracking. So I'm sure that's going to be to our benefit anyway at the end of the day.
Yeah, we have a very smart fan base, and that's probably because Hollow Knight kind of encourages you to explore and dig in and learn things. Yeah, so you naturally attract that kind of player.
Totally.
So, and I think, yes, of course, people have a high anticipation, and you want that as a developer, but you know, it's a double-edged sword. Like I've got some interesting emails, let's just say, but but the majority are people saying, "We love you guys. Please take care of yourself. We're going to be patient. Just, you know, make the game perfect, and we'll wait for it." And it's like, I think ultimately, even when you get worked up and you're like, there wasn't news at the indie world, like when you just kind of sit down and have some water, and then you realize, you go, okay, but really I don't want them to release it before it's ready.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
You know, just trust they're going to do that, and that's all we ask. We are very busy. I've been busy, even, you know, busy now. I got Crowsworn.
Yeah.
I'm working on, and like I'm on that like every day because we're prepping for a big Kickstarter. And so, like, oh my God, I just got a message from a Hollow Knight speedrunner.
Oh, nice.
who I sometimes play Phasmophobia with, because
cool.
I've played that game entirely too much.
Nice.
Like 400 hours, kind of too much. Like
wow,
as much as I played Hollow Knight, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And they're like, "Are you going to be free to play Phasmo in June or July or August?" And I'm like, "Oh, I see what's going on here."
They're trying to entrap you like we did a minute ago.
Getting a little VJ.
Yeah, exactly.
They're learning stuff from you, VJ. You sneaky.
Well, if we've got time, I've got a cheeky question or a constructive question, but it'll be your choice.
Okay.
Go for it.
Which one do you want? What do you want, the constructive one or the cheeky one?
Oh yes, no. I'll take both.
Nice.
We got 1,000 people here, Let's,
hell yeah! Thanks for being here, guys.
I'll give you the constructive one. Look, I know everybody wants the shiny new stuff, right? And I'm really curious about this because I've been saying to Indy that I get this really strong sense that there was so many people that missed Hollow Knight because we're in a time when there's just so many good games to see or upcoming or to be released at any one time. So I get this feeling that when Silksong comes out, that there may be a huge opportunity, right? And to create awareness that, hey, look, Hollow Knight exists. And I think there'll be a massive uplift in terms of sales for that. So do you already have thoughts in your mind or in terms of how to infiltrate or how to inevitably promote Hollow Knight in parallel to Silksong? Because I don't see Silksong as a sequel, and I think that's a really clever strategy right out of the bat in terms of saying that it's the second game from Team Cherry. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
You want to know if it's a prequel or sequel?
No, not a prequel or sequel. I'm saying that's a smart thing. I'm just saying that I just see that there's a huge uplift, that there is a possible uplift in sales for Hollow Knight. I'm not saying that's an overall motivation, but I think talking to people within the community, I'll be quite honest with you here, is that I just see so many people either didn't know or are unaware of it, even regardless of the fact they had so much success. And I'm just thinking, is that still in the back of your mind? Do you still go about promoting that game, or do you see ways to promote it on the back of Silksong when it's released?
Yeah, certainly. I look at certainly like post launch of Hollow Knight, I was looking for opportunities to promote Hollow Knight because people who love Hollow Knight would probably be interested in getting Silksong. So it was like there definitely is a relation there. Like I was just looking at the sales, sort of the graph of or not the sale, like the wish lists of Silksong. I was looking at this graph, and I was like, why was there a big spike here and here? Like, and I was like, oh, because Hollow Knight was on sale during the summer sale or something like that. And so it's definitely a factor. Like for instance, back before we announced Silksong, I was talking with Microsoft about they wanted to bring Hollow Knight to Game Pass, and we were kind of like, I don't know, I'm not sure. And then we announced Silksong, and then Microsoft's like, hey, we really want Hollow Knight on Game Pass, and we'll give you a better offer. And then we were still kind of like, is this the right move? And ultimately, I was like, this is the right move because it's the right move for Silksong.
Yep.
Because
good shout.
The more people, the more market saturation, to use a term like that we have for Hollow Knight, the less people out there who haven't played who would absolutely love it. Like if we can get it in all those people's hands, that's good for the next game. So I'm like marketing Silksong by pushing Hollow Knight even further, even 3 years after or 2 years after launch. And then on top of that, we knew they were going to announce PC Game Pass at the same time, and so I figured we were probably going to be on E3 stage at Microsoft and at Nintendo at the same time, and it totally happened. So in hindsight, it was like a no-brainer. Like, I'm standing there watching people play Silksong at Nintendo booth, and across from me was this giant poster of Hollow Knight at the Microsoft booth. Like, it was like, how many people get to say they got their game on the two of the major platforms booths at E3 simultaneously?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I kind of see them as two separate bubbles almost merged together that pivot with one another going forward.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you've mentioned Game Pass there. I'm sure some people in the chat, there's quite a few Xbox fans around here, but I know you're going to be launching into, you've got a great team. What's the word? I can't even think of the word. You got a great affiliation. That's not the greatest word for it. I was going to say affiliation with Switch and Nintendo. I can see that you've been marketing the game with Nintendo. I imagine you've got some sort of agreement going on there. You don't have to go into that, but I could tell you have, because I went to EGX 2019 in the UK. It was in the Nintendo area. The game was being shown off, and it was it's obviously the Nintendo Treehouse it's been shown off through. So I imagine there's something going on between you and that, and you are launching onto Switch simultaneously this time, because last time it was just PC at launch, if I'm not mistaken. So you're Switch and PC.
It was Windows only. Actually, we got Mac and Linux in like a month later.
Oh, okay, cool. So that shows you how you've come on as well. But yeah, so is that still standing as correct as you've just switched PC and the Mac as well, all that at launch? There's no other platforms at launch, or is that not something you can answer?
Well, okay, so I'll give you guys another little snippet that's never been made public.
You little gem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why do an interview unless I can bring something new to the table?
Absolutely.
The same thing every time.
Love that, my friend. Thank you.
But we don't have an agreement with Nintendo for exclusivity or anything. A lot of people make assumptions to that regard, but that would be like they never ask if we have an exclusivity agreement with Steam.
Yeah, that's true.
like it's just because it sold so well on there.
Yes,
it sold so well on Steam and on Switch that of course they're our priority. But no, there's no agreements. Nintendo is just supporting us because, I mean, of course they would. They don't have to.
Well, absolutely,
but why not? Like, the game did so well on Switch. They know there's an established user base that was going to dive into this game. And so it's in their best interest, and it helps us, and we're grateful. So, but I think if we had announced, we're going to be on Xbox and Xbox Series X and PS5, I'm sure we'd probably have a booth in their area too.
Yeah, that's a factor. Yeah.
But we just haven't committed to those platforms yet. Even if we do want to bring Silksong to them. It's just we don't know when or how that would happen. So it doesn't seem like something we'll be able to manage for launch, though.
Sure.
So that's why we've only committed to Windows, PC, Mac, Linux, and Switch.
Thought you were going to give us a Game Pass reveal at launch then.
Wait, what was that? Sorry.
I thought you were going to say Game Pass at launch for a second.
I bet they would love that.
They will. Those Game Pass lovers would love. I mean, I'm a Game Pass lover, but I'm a PC lover first and foremost, to be honest with you. So I'll be playing it on Steam, and that's for sure. But yeah, like I'm sure you'll be coming out. Like maybe I'm just guessing. You know, obviously it's you who will be doing it. I'm speaking to the guy who's doing it, so I'm sure you will know better. But I would imagine you'll probably do 1 year later or something like that with PlayStation and Xbox. I'm just guessing. That seems like something just by form that you would go through. Maybe, I don't know. I'm guessing, but you never know.
Well, I could only guess too, because ultimately I'm not the one having to do the work.
Sure.
So of course I'm over here like, I want it.
Yeah.
I want Sony and Microsoft to have the game too. Like from a publishing standpoint. Of course.
Yes, exactly.
But I certainly am not going to go around on the internet telling people things and committing to do more work than me.
Exactly. And what I love as well, getting back to the fact about Team Cherry, is I love that they haven't just gone, we've done so well, we've earned so much money out of this first game, let's go and get like 100 developers and expand. What they've done is kept the team independent, small, and who they can rely on. They can rely on themselves because they know their own talents. They can maintain the consistency of the game throughout, and they can, like I say, rely on their own abilities. And that's going to give, I'm sure, an amazing sequel in Hollow Knight Silksong. So I love the fact that they've chosen to do that. But that might, give one or two drawbacks, which is maybe the Xbox and PlayStation will come a year later or something like that, which obviously I don't care about because I'm on PC anyway. So.
So that's a great point. I think that's something that's not really discussed. Like even me, I played a bunch of Phasmophobia, right? Like hundreds of hours, and it's just one guy, I think.
Sure, right.
And I'm over here like, well, the game sold so well. Why isn't he hiring someone else to help him do stuff? And like that's a very common thing to ask, and it's totally valid. But with that comes more responsibility, and also it can make some things take longer. Ironically, like if you have like some back and forth and other creative people getting together, and maybe maybe this developer has no managing skills, and it would be a nightmare. It's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
It actually probably wouldn't be that uncommon. Creative people often don't 100% want to be managers or producers.
That's why you're such a good asset to Team Cherry, because you take care of that for them.
Okay, nicely done.
I've got to stop battering you up. We've done a few hours now, so it's no more necessary. It's true though.
But what you can do is bring on a specialist on a temporary basis. Kind of like what I do is you bring someone on to do some animations for the ghosts or what have you. I don't want to go too much on Phasmophobia, but like it's somebody you can have work on something that the game needs, but they don't need access to all the code. They don't need to like be in the creative process. You're just like, dude, I need like a zombie walk, that I can implement. Can you get that to me? And so Team Cherry, naturally, when the porting situation came along, they hired Shark Jump Studios to help them with that.
Right, yeah.
It was on a temporary basis, and they'll probably go to them again,
Nice.
I would imagine pretty soon.
They done a good job with that, because I actually played the Xbox version last time, so this time we're playing Steam though, I would say. Yeah, it was good.
The Xbox wasn't the problem, it was the Switch, and then everything else kind of
right, like you said earlier.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, sure. That is fantastic. Yeah, so do we want to hit up maybe a couple more questions from the chat, guys, and we should wind this up really, because I could go on all night probably. Having a great time.
Did we get the cheeky question?
The cheeky question from VJ, yeah.
Are you sure you want it? Yeah, it was interesting to listen to what you had to say in terms of the game going into Game Pass, and I think it was last November that you afforded the game to go into PlayStation Plus and reach up to 50 million players, and then subsequently after that, really quickly, I saw that the Edge magazine was released in January, I think it was, in the UK, which was a fantastic in-depth preview. And I think that speaks to the fact that, hey, look, we haven't got a roadmap that we stick to in terms of letting the community know on every Saturday or Sunday afternoon, hey, this is where we are, this is the progress. You speak to the community is that when you have something meaningful and presentable, and it has a reasoning behind it. And I sort of extrapolated from that typically when an Edge magazine comes out, and I used to collect them from issue 1, that typically from an Edge cover, that a game typically on average releases 6 months after the release of the cover hits the street. So are you looking to conform or to buck the trend?
Okay. I was like, I see where this is going.
VJ is playing bad cop. I'm playing good cop at the moment, I think.
Well, I can...
I love it. I'll leave it with Leth, though.
Very clever. See if I can... if I can duel with VJ here.
Yeah.
What's my counter going to be? So I think that... the way I've handled marketing, let's say opportunities for Team Cherry and now Crowsworn, is that it's like I try to just stay flexible and don't commit to anything too quickly, so that, because sometimes you'll just get like the serendipity situation where you go, okay, let's, like, I think Ari and Wynn were talking to Edge magazine for way longer than before before the article. Like, they wanted to do an article like a year before then,
right? Yeah,
came to be. And so they reached out to us and we're like, oh, we're not quite ready yet, but please keep us in mind, we may want to do one in the future, right? And then Sony goes, we want to put the game on what was it, PS Plus, or what's the free game, I forget. Well, they basically
PS
promoted the game to tons of people, right? So then it's like, okay, now would be a good time to get the Edge magazine if it's still something we can do, and then you reach out and try and do sort of a marketing beat follow-up, and take advantage of those opportunities. Like, you never burn any, you never want to like outright say no, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You just, and you know what? Like, we're sort of taking advantage of the situation, but Edge magazine don't care, because now they sell out their whole magazine. You know, they sold out. Like,
Yeah.
it benefited them for us to sort of like play the situation for the long haul and find the right moment. Like, everybody benefits from it, even if, you know, it was kind of like, I will wait for a better moment.
Yep.
So that's pretty much that's my approach to marketing in general. I'm very proactive in looking for those opportunities and having like a bag of goodies that I can be like, okay, I like this, and this would match up really well if we did it before or simultaneously or what have you. So,
yep.
A bag of tricks, whatever you want to call it. So a deck of magic cards.
Yeah, it's an interesting
that I can
choice,
pull
isn't
and
it,
play.
that they chose to go with a magazine. Obviously, it's quite a creative sort of. I would say creative. It's like it's an interesting choice of going with an actual printed magazine. It was a nice spread. They do have a lovely print quality and all that sort of thing. Maybe it was something to do with that, the artistic side of things. I don't know if you've mentioned.
I think that they just mainly didn't want to do another blog post.
Yeah, sure. I can understand that.
So they,
yeah.
And December was interesting. I gained so many followers on Twitter.
Nice.
Because of December, because what they called the nuke of the 15th. So if anyone from the Discord is watching, they're like, oh my God, he just mentioned the nuke. Like, the Discord went crazy when I retweeted the Indie World without any context. I just retweeted it.
Oh my God, I can't believe the indie worlds are getting really. I thought you were going to say it's because when you said it's done, the game is done around that time. That was at the end of December. I thought that was going to be your blow up times. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, it was like the 14th, 15th of December.
Yeah.
And the game trended 2 days in a row because I retweeted.
Interesting.
The Indie World. And
I mean,
got excited and it trended, and then they were disappointed the next day. But I didn't. Normally, I might shy away from doing something so provocative.
Yeah, sure.
But because like I said earlier, I don't want to play with people's feelings too much.
Yeah.
But I knew that the Edge magazine was coming, so I knew I had about 10 days before that would get leaked or put out or announced or something, that people would be suffering, and then there would be like a big payoff. And of course, you know, there you have it. Like the master plan.
Yeah, absolutely. That is quite something. I mean, I know how it feels when I'm watching the indie worlds and I'm seeing Silksong. Every like comment's like Silksong, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like, I love to see people.
Yeah. So I might have. I mean,
it might be your fault.
I went into the indie world even after I told them that there wouldn't be anything in there. I think I even told the Discord, like, there's not going to be any Silksong stuff in here.
Yeah.
And then I still went into the indie world chat, and I was like, I want everybody to say Ascend with Gorb. Can we get Ascend with Gorb going crazy during the presentation? And I was like, Ascend with Gorb, and it just exploded with Ascend with Gorbs. And I think some people probably felt a little, you know, like, Leth, that was mean.
Yeah.
our heartstrings a little too hard there.
It's brilliant.
I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I just wanted Nintendo to see people were excited about Hollow Knight. I didn't mean to. Oh, listen with Gorbs in chat. Oh, no.
I love it. Yeah, you guys are awesome. I love it. You see, you are the master of the. You are the ruler.
Yeah. My people.
Exactly.
Ascend with Gorb.
It's brilliant.
Or it'd be more like, or whatever.
Yeah, so get it. Is it you who did a Gorb? Did you do it?
No,
no. It's good. That's not a bad try. God, I love the fact that you guys do the voices though. It's so cool. I wonder if you would mind. Obviously, you're not going to tell us any release dates because I doubt you even know it. They wouldn't even know it probably because it's not going to be done. I think. I just wondered if you'd mind if I'm just going to say what me and VJ had a little speculation. We've been saying for a little while that you don't have to respond to this at all. Of course, I don't expect you to. But me and VJ were saying we think it's going to be in June. Don't react to it at all. But I said June the 14th on one of our podcasts, and yeah, Puxley, can you remember what you said back then, Puxley? Do you remember the date?
I think I said something like September 18th.
Did you?
That kind of time. I believe it was around September I mentioned, yeah.
Yeah.
For my prediction.
And VJ, do you remember your specific one in June? Sometime in June, I think you...
Yeah, it was June, and it's just a trend, Indy. I mean, you only have to look at... I was so surprised today. I'm a massive fan of Judgment, and it was announced today, and it's out in 4 months. And I think that is an excellent time frame, and Sega have got that about them in terms of how they go about their business, and it speaks to what Leth was saying. Hey, look, we're going to announce the date as soon as we know we've got a build, and it's been ironed out to as finely as it possibly can, so it's playable and it's releasable, and that's when we'll announce it. And so I think that's a pretty smart way of going about things. So it'll be up to Leth to take our relation and run.
Absolutely. I mean, I totally want them to do that, and they're going to do that anyway because they're very, you guys at Team Cherry are awesome, and you're not going to do anything, but it's just a bit of fun with the release date thing, just a bit of fun. But yeah, like if it's beyond that, then I'm totally cool with it. I just want it to be as good as it can be, which is, I'm sure, what it will be. Puxley, is there any final sort of like questions from the chat that we can get to before we wind this baby up?
There has been plenty, but I can jump on some pretty easy quickfire ones, I think. So
okay.
One here was people asking in general, are there any plans for like Hollow Knight merch at all? Because there seems to be a lot of, chat has demand for it, but whether or not there's worldwide demand, I wouldn't know. But
that was one of my, actually had that on my list. Was there going to be a Fangamer Silksong special edition like the other ones? Well, we'd like to add to that.
Oh, I'm sure they want to do that. We're great friends with Fangamer. I would say they're our primary go-to merch partner at this point.
Yes, they're awesome.
Because some things in chat as well about like Funko Pops or whatever they're called, plushies, all that kind of stuff.
That'd be cool.
Is there any ideas for that kind of thing? Or
like I have
you got one already?
Fangamer. I have 3. I have the
nice.
Wanderer's Journal right here. I have the Shade plush that's making creepy music.
Yeah, it's awesome.
The Hollow Knight Collector's Edition right over here, so I can just always view it because it's so beautiful.
That's great.
That's up to Fangamer, really.
Oh, really?
I mean, of course, like they want to do more merch.
Yeah.
And we do have stuff already in the works with them.
Nice.
But we haven't talked about a collector's edition. You
Yeah.
mentioned the collector's edition. We haven't
that
talked
was
about that yet because that
pretty
was
cool.
that was something we didn't really want to talk about until the game was content complete
Sure.
with all the content packs being done.
Yep, fair enough.
And like that way, we weren't patching a physical release, so maybe that's going to be later on down the line.
Yeah, that's cool. But that sounds great. I mean, I love all that good stuff, and t-shirts and stuff as well. The only I love it so much, Fangamer stuff, that I ordered it from the US and paid more for the shipping than I did for 2 t-shirts.
Oh wow!
It's just that's the only bad thing about it is the shipping to the UK is ridiculous. But there we go. It's a shame.
I have another interesting question, if you don't mind me reading it once you're done. Sorry.
Definitely.
Sure. Oh, I was just gonna say, I know they opened up a Japan
really?
office, and I'm hoping they'll do a European, somewhere in Europe, maybe Germany or
That'd be awesome.
France or UK over there. Like, it'd be nice to have. That way, the shipping wouldn't be so crazy for all you guys over there across the pond.
Yeah, I'll be all over it then, probably buying everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So yeah, question. What was you had a question?
Yeah,
Ryan?
sorry, Mark. Yeah, I got one from a community member called AEB here, which I really like the sound of. I'll read it out. So they ask, so how much did the hype around Silksong affect its development? Was the game meant to be, or was it made bigger than planned because people thought it should be this perfect thing? So did development was it having one particular scope and then has it blown up because of demand, or is what we're going to see going to be the original vision?
That's an awesome question. I haven't been asked that before, so good job.
Nice.
Good job on that question, AEB. Yeah, definitely the game is blown up in scope. The original plan was like a $5 like little little game. Like it was not going to be a big thing.
So we're talking about the original Hollow Knight firstly. Is that what the question was?
No, sorry.
No, it's referring to this one.
Referring to Silksong
song. Has the game blown up bigger because of its hype?
Nice,
yes.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say. I don't know if Ari or William would characterize it that way, but I just know that when we first talked about it, they were telling me, it was just going to be this really small sort of side story that, separate game, but just a smaller game. And then I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But now I'm happy to see that it's probably going to be larger than Hollow Knight, or certainly at least comparable size.
Sure, nice. Exciting. I'm so super excited.
I've got another question, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
Some because I've seen the community and partly from myself as well. So if my memory is correct, I mean, because there was a lot of people, once they played the first game and became big fans of the game, a lot of people questioned why the game was, quote unquote, as cheap as it was. I think a lot of people after playing it were saying this feels like it could be a $25, $30 game or whatever. A lot of people again asking what are we expecting this time around, but then is there still that, I mean, I'm going to rephrase the question, sorry. So is there still that kind of difficulty from the developer's point of view as to, do you think because this is an indie game it has to be cheaper, or is it more because of the fact it has this massive fan base and hype around it, can more be charged for it, or are those kind of questions being played out in the background, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's something we like. Well, the truth is you price a game not by what you think it's worth, but what you think people will pay for it. I mean, if you're really thinking sensibly about it, you don't want to, like, you can't price a game like, otherwise we'd have a game like Stardew Valley, $100, or Terraria. With how many hours you could play those games, they'd be insanely high priced, but people wouldn't pay that. But they're worth it. So Hollow Knight there was kind of an internal debate whether it should be $20 or $15, and there are some articles that say $20 games sell as much as $15 game, in terms of number of units. Like, there's little to no difference, so you might as well go 20. And I'm kind of like, I joined Team Cherry just after launching Stardew Valley and seeing how much that exploded.
Awesome.
And I'm like, man, I've never seen a $20 pixel art game explode like to that degree. So I wonder if there's and then Hollow Knight's not pixel art, so it probably could have gotten away with a higher price. But when you're an unknown developer, I felt like you should err on the side of making sure as many people get it as possible, rather than worry about monetizing your small user base. We kind of went for we're gonna have, like, I think that if you price your game at 15 versus 20, it raises the potential to a great degree. Like, you might maybe on average most games at 15 and 20 sell the same number of units, but there's a lot more million sellers at 15 than 20 or something like that. Like, it just raises the potential for the game to explode, and Hollow Knight certainly has. And so there's a lot of pressure not to mess with the formula since it's been so successful. Yeah,
because you've created this, absolute buzz around it. It's not, it's not just a buzz. It's kind of like phenomenon almost, isn't it? Like, I would argue it's the most, the best indie game out there, and the most sort of formidable, and it's the greatest community around it as well. Now it's just it's the go-to ultimate indie game. I might be slightly biased.
Most of Hollow Knight copies on PC were sold at $10.
Right. Yeah.
So, like,
if you go
20 or 30, then are you
you shirking those
Yeah,
fans?
I mean,
know?
you get
Like,
you said you've created that massive like audience around it now. That is a great choice, obviously.
no
but I
cost
want
too great. The chat.
yeah, no cost too great. Yeah, but that's the thing. A lot of people in there, but we have got the hardcores in there, so there is that to remember. And maybe when they first saw the game, they didn't think no cost too great at that point.
No, they didn't back then.
So
no.
if you see what I mean.
But now that's different. So yeah, I'm not gonna commit Team Cherry to any particular number.
Yeah.
But it's certainly, there's. Yeah, it's something we've talked about here and there, but I don't want to. I mean, we'll announce it.
Yes.
We want to make sure people are happy and that we want to reach out to. Oh, I almost said how many copies we sold. We have kept that close.
I was just going to ask that. I didn't think you'd tell me though. Yeah, no, that's been a quiet as it.
That's something like me. I'm happy to say it personally on a personal level. I'm like, yeah, we could tell people, but Ari and William are kind of like, well, we don't really want to focus on that. And so, well, maybe we will. I don't know. We might have to like massage it into a message like, we're coming to, Silksong's being launched to the celebration of this many fans we have around the world or something. And so you mean, kind of put it in a softer instead of a
celebratory kind of thank you.
Right.
For,
yeah. It's not like a brag.
Exactly.
Like a bragging thing.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can see how they would say something like that though, and I can understand them not wanting to put it out there. I'm sure it sold a fair old few, which I'm so glad for. Yeah, was there any others, Puxley, that are real good ones that you want, like that, like one you had a minute ago, or is anything you wanted to ask yourself, Puxley? Because I know you've been a selfless man doing all those questions for everyone else.
Thank you, Puxley.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's quite all right. I've seen a few, which it's kind of sidestepping back a bit, really, but it kind of affects the design, so I think I would like to ask this one. So there's a few comments earlier on throughout this interview, people asking about speedrunners, and I think yourself mentioned that you're friends with speedrunners who've played the game, play other games with. So this game has a really big speedrunning community, I'm aware of it, as well as the boss rush modes, all that kind of stuff. So with that in mind, has knowing that there's a speedrunning community out there affected the design or development of the game, do you know, to have it in mind? Because we know that Hornet, the character, has obviously new mobility tricks and techniques and movement, different ways to move around the level. Has that been kind of inspired by speedrunners or the speedrunning community, or has it been more just a flavor of who the developers think Hornet is as a character and how she should move regardless of whether speedrunners should care?
That's also a good question.
Really good.
Unfortunately, I don't know the details I don't know how they came to give her that run toggle. Like, I think it's like the left trigger, and she just does. I mean, on the screen, I see it right now. She's like running super fast, and it changes the other moves if you do them during that state versus the walk state.
Nice.
That's certainly. I'm sure speedrunners are looking at it going, "Oh, I can't wait to master and just be running everywhere with Hornet, like just doing all kinds of acrobatic, cool moves." And
it's actually,
I watch the speedruns, and I'm just. Floored at the skill
oh my god, they're crazy, isn't it?
But it, like, they did put some things in to Hollow Knight intentionally for speedrunners, but of course speedrunners find stuff that we didn't intentionally do, and then you're like, okay, well, we don't want that in there, and then speedrunners are like, well, we don't want to download your update then. And they just keep playing old version for all
I see
for all their speedruns. So I don't know, I guess it's something, it's like you're aware of it, but first and foremost you have to make the game you want to make, and then maybe throw in some goodies for the speedrunning community, because it certainly helps sell the brand when you see people go into that degree with it and continue playing it. You want people to see Hollow Knight, and it's good that speedrunners are so dedicated, because then more people get to see it.
Definitely, yeah, most definitely. I absolutely love the movement of Hornet in this new game and Silksong. I think it's actually it's changed up quite a bit as well, which is quite surprising in a way. I'm not surprising now, instantly now, but like when I first saw it, I was like, well, it's actually quite different. It's quite a lot more agile and much more speed to it. I think it's it's kind of it obviously does have the similar attack patterns and the dash and stuff. There is a dash there, isn't there, Leth? Is that right? Is there?
Well, she's running.
Is there? And is there a dash?
Straight dash? I don't know. I don't remember one.
Oh, okay, cool. See, again, that's another big change because I was a dash addict and that.
Yes. So maybe they saw people just dash and figured, let's just let them hold the trigger down. And
exactly.
Fast,
It does look much more sort of like elegant, and I think that's what Hornet is all about, being super elegant character. She's awesome. But just a quick, you can say yes or no, or like, is there any kind of like cameos or like good characters who coming back from the last game we were going to see other than the obvious? Is there any like corner for cameos or anything like that?
Oh man,
is that hard for you to say? Probably.
Wow, what would happen to me if
you'll probably get taken down for that one.
If I dared to confirm or deny.
Oh, if Cornifer's in it, I'll be happy for the rest of my life.
And if I say anything, people are gonna accuse me of being a big T. So I really don't know what to say. Because obviously I can't say any specifics or anything about Silksong and the content in the game. So
no problem at all.
I'm gonna have to.
No problem.
Have to shuffle past that one. That's a little too spicy for me.
It was
a similar question, actually.
Okay, cool.
In the chat, if you don't mind me asking.
Nice.
No, it's not as bad as that, I guess. Someone just asked that. Are there any characters which have been kind of either based on or inspired by fan art from the original? That people maybe making their own characters. Has there been any, obviously not specific details, I guess, but do you know if that's been in the works at all? Like, oh man, I really like that fan art. We might have to integrate a design like that, or.
The only one I know of for sure is Seth. It was a character we introduced through the riddles that was done by a fan.
Right. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a whole story behind that. I don't want to get into the details. It's quite compelling and a little bit of a tearjerker.
Ooh.
So if you look into Seth in Silksong, there's a really nice story about how that character came to be.
Fantastic. Yeah, because you've revealed actually quite a few of the characters through those riddles. There's quite a few in that press kit of yours. Check out the press kit if you wanted to, guys. But there's quite a few in there, which amazingly, beautifully hand-drawn, of course.
Oh, yeah. People ask all the time if there'll be more riddles.
Okay, right, yeah.
And I have a feeling that was a one-time thing. Not only is it destroyed my brain coming up with
yeah, I was gonna say
6 unique riddles.
Yeah,
but it just it won't be. There's nothing that can be as momentous as how that happened. Like it would, I feel like it would cheapen it.
Right, yeah.
A really special event.
A moment, yeah, sure. You have to think of something else to come up with, I guess, if you were going to do another thing. Guys, challenge it. Your job's tough, isn't it?
It was. Oh, man. I had a lot of fun making them, but when it came around to that last week and they asked me to make 2, I was like, I have to wait. What? Now I have to make 5 riddles because I have to do.
Yeah.
I had a riddle, and then when they solved that one, they opened up the sort of treasure trove, the zip file, and there was another riddle inside. Nice. And it's like, oh man, I can't do anymore. I had started to think about one, and I was like, no, you know what? It's probably best that even if I could come up with some more, I'd probably just let that lie and be just, that was 2020 our thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. Should we go any more of Puxy, my friend, or?
The only question I would ask, only on behalf of the community, although I think I know the answer anyway.
Yep.
Is there any chance of us seeing a public demo, or do we all have to wait until the final release?
Oh, I don't think there will be a demo.
No, I don't.
Even if it was just the demo that we had before. To play the demo, you probably have to go to a Switch booth, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When those come back around,
and you have to fight people to get on it. Believe me, I've been there.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So before we go, let me just tell you an interesting little anecdote about the Silksong booths at E3.
Nice.
So they gave us 4 booths, and they gave. I don't know if I should call the game out by name, but they gave another game. I think it had 12 stations.
Right.
And those 12 stations did not ever fill up, and there was a line halfway around the entire booth of people waiting to play Silksong.
Oh dear.
Like, so part of that's because we only had 4 stations. Maybe if we had 8, it wouldn't have been such a long line. Or maybe it would have been longer because people were like, there's, 8 stations. You'll get on quicker.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I started walking down the line just kind of like talking to people.
Yeah.
And it was fun because nobody knew who I was. I tried to kind of...
That's cool, yeah.
I tried to stay in the background a little bit. And then somebody would recognize me. Someone would out me. Like,
nice.
Mossbag fan was like, "Hey, Leth, oh my God, you're here!" And then people are like, "Wait a minute, what? Is he a Team Cherry guy? I thought you were supposed to be Australian."
Yeah, that's a good little sneaky one, actually. Yeah. It was the same at EGX, which is our biggest convention over here. I don't know if you've heard of it or not.
Yes.
But yes. It was two screens for Silksong.
Oh no!
Yeah. So and then there was like there was a lot of like Nintendo style games. Oh my God, Luigi's Mansion and stuff like that was around it. I wonder if that might have been the one you were referring to a minute ago when you didn't want to shame it on. We just can't get involved.
Mansion, it wasn't a Nintendo. It wasn't a Nintendo game.
Right.
Luigi's Mansion had its own mansion you could walk through.
Oh right. Sure. Maybe a bit more elaborate E3.
Yeah, it was crazy at E3.
I remember the GX booths. I think there was the Silksong booths, as you say, and then at least from my experience, that was overshadowed. I believe it was Overwatch for Switch at the time. And that had a massive install base of booths there for that.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome stuff. Well, I could literally go on all night and talking to you, but I'm pretty sure you do not want to do that, Leth, my friend. And it's same with Puxley and VJ.
Some other time. But it was great. It was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for being part of it, buddy. It's an absolute honor and pleasure. I hope we haven't been too cheeky with is the word of the day.
No, this has been wonderful. You guys did a great job. There were some really good questions.
Awesome.
And I'll be telling other indie games to come check you out.
Oh well, that is
podcast.
That is absolutely awesome, my friend. Thank you so much for that. It's been so much fun, and thank you so much to all of the chat who have hung out with us, because there's been an absolute incredible number of you guys, and you're all amazing. Thank you so much for being so awesome and positive, and keeping that passion going all the way through. We've had practically over 1,000 for a lot of it, which is mind-blowing to say the least.
That's awesome.
You guys are amazing. I'm sure we have a lot to thank with Leth for that number, but thank you so much again, Leth, for being on. I know everyone, we usually say on our shows, where can they find you, but I'm pretty damn sure they know where they can find you, because they probably all are in the Discord with you. But would you like to sign off in whatever way you'd like to sign off, Leth? Thank you again for being here, buddy.
Yeah, you can follow me at Griffin Matta, or Griffin Matt A. It's my middle initial at the end. It's very confusing for people on Twitter. That's where I'm pretty active there, and I'm gonna be. But you're gonna see me talking about Crowsworn a lot right now.
Awesome.
But you should check Crowsworn out if you're a fan of Hollow Knight. I think this is gonna be right up your alley. And but then also follow the Indie Gamer, who's this channel you've come to. Like they have a podcast every couple of weeks, it seems. Yes, we do, every other week. Production's top notch. Oh, thank you so much. This channel should be much bigger. Oh, that's very kind. If you like indie games, and they cover the Nintendo indie world, and you guys can all come here and console one another when Silksong doesn't appear. Exactly. Facts, my friend. That is so true. Yeah, we can put our arm around each other and get through the hard times. Yes. Get through it together. Until the glorious times arrived. Obviously, with Crowsworn coming out, that will be a bit longer, I imagine. I don't know. I imagine that will be longer than Silksong. It's gonna be, it's going to be later on. Yeah, I thought it might be. But yeah, like you say, thank you. That's very kind of you to say again. Thank you. Everyone, if you
are new to the channel here, coming for your first time, checking out this channel, like Leth said, this is all about indie games like Hollow Knight and like Crowsworn. We love to spread the word of new and undiscovered indie games that are coming out and all that good stuff. So feel free to hit that subscribe and like on this channel. If you want to stay up to date, obviously hit that notification bell too. If you want to stay up to date with all the latest indie games goodness on the channel. What was I going to say? I forget what I was going to say now. Yep. Also, I want to say a massive thank you to the most selfless man of the day, an absolute trooper, Puxley, who has stepped in at the last minute, and he has also done an amazing job keeping the messages together. So it means a lot that you did that, buddy. I'm sorry if you didn't get as many questions in of your own as you'd like, but thank you so much for doing this today, buddy. It was an absolute pleasure hanging with you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I've very much enjoyed this. It's a very last minute edition, but
yes.
I tried the questions. I had a good grasp of it at the beginning, but then it kind of got out of control. But I think I held my own a little bit.
You certainly held your own, brother. You did a great job.
Yeah, in terms of people can find me, I mainly reside as a co-host on the Green Pass Gaming YouTube channel, where we talk about gaming news similar to this show. So you can definitely find me there. You can also find us on Twitter at GPG_crew, or myself personally, which is at PuxleyAR. So if you'd like to ask me any questions or give us a follow, very much appreciate it. Ask me anything.
Awesome. That's a you might regret that. Ask me anything. No, you certainly won't. You won't regret following Puxley though. He has some cool. He's actually starting out as a bit of an indie dev himself, so maybe you'd be interested in checking that out, Leth, as well. He's starting out his journey as a developer on his personal Twitter, but yeah, also the Green Pass Gaming YouTube channel is fantastic too, guys, so definitely check that out. Links in the description below. Sorry, were you going to say something there?
Oh no, I didn't know. Yeah, you had someone else down here. I guess you had to update to get Puxley in the description below here, I think.
Oh yeah, because he came in the last second. I need to change him for Luke, actually. Sorry, yeah. I will get you the link for him, actually. I'll change that straight away anyway. Thanks for letting me know that and reminding me. Yes, and finally, the bad cop of the day, the man who's done a great job of pressing the buttons and trying to push those questions. We love you, VJ. You are such a great guy, and you always bring awesome takes. And this today, a few more questions than normal. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. It was a pleasure hanging with you. Where can they find you, sir?
I just wanted to say, Leth, sorry for pouncing on you. Old habits die hard. I'm sort of very perceptive, but I have to say you've been a fantastic sport, and now having the opportunity to actually get to speak to you, albeit briefly, you are, to my mind, most definitely a credit to the industry, and especially those you represent. And I wish you, Team Cherry and Mongoose, the very best. And I really do hope we get to speak to you again soon. And indeed, I just wanted to say thank you for introducing me to the game, Hollow Knight, and definitely for plucking me out of a crowd of community members that could have very well have been on this panel and on this special show. So it's much appreciated. You're
very welcome, sir. That's very kind of you to say, and I'm so glad I did introduce you to it, because it was an absolute love affair for you, wasn't it, playing through Hollow Knight? Which was so great to talk to you about, and share that passion for the amazing game that it is. And I cannot wait to talk about Silksong with you when that comes out. And also Crowsworn 2 now. It's great to have another kind of Hollow Knight style game as well. Because, some people, even if they do think they are fairly similar, then that doesn't matter, because, we've got more than just maybe a few months to play games with. We can play games and then move on to another game. You know what I mean? So I'm really pleased that we're going to have another game of that kind of ilk to play through, especially hearing all we've heard about it today, being that it's confirmed Metroidvania, and it's going to be quite a long, juicy game. And definitely digging what I'm hearing about it. I'm looking forward to seeing more when the Kickstarter goes up. Definitely look up those links in the description, as I say, guys. And finally, I want to say thank you so much once again, everyone who has joined us in the chat. It's absolutely blown my mind. It's just overwhelming. I'm sorry if I haven't been in the chat as much as I would like to have been. It's just been it's gone from It's just I've like strolled, had gone for an evening stroll and ended up on the motorway or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, you guys are all amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. I finally just want to pay one more thank you to Leth today, because I don't know if he wanted me to say this or not, but he reached out to me, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. You know, that just blew my mind. My wife has... I've not stopped hearing about that, to be honest with you. And you know, with
Tell
team,
your wife I'm sorry
with team,
for the dinner conversations this week.
She's been loving it too. She knows how much I love Hollow Knight. She knows how much I love, you know, Team Cherry and what you guys do. So she is absolutely, she's smiling ear to ear, you know. So she's really happy to see all this taking place. And so yeah, thank you again, Leth. You're a legend. It's been so much fun. You're so down to earth, and I hope it hasn't been too long. I know we've gone a little bit of a long time tonight, but hope it's been okay for you time length wise. But yes, we're going to wind it up there, guys, because it's been absolutely awesome show, and I want to thank you one more time for being here. Thank you, Leth. Thank you, Puxley. Thank you, VJ, and thank you, awesome chat. And I will catch you again. We're going to be doing, I think, another show in about 2 weeks' time live, and potentially a video in between. But like I say, hit subscribe and the bell, and you will be notified when that is going to be going on. Well, thanks again, guys, and I will catch you again real soon. Later, guys.